Peace to the gods, peace to the gods. Yusef here. Got another good show for you today. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Carl Thomas, peace, love, light, health, healthiness, and prosperity and abundance to all truth seekers, light workers, and star children here to illuminate the human realm. Beautifully stated, beautifully stated. Yusef always late. I need to know. I am a little late today. I'm sorry. A little late today, but we're gonna get to it. We're about to get to it. All right, today I got something a little different I'm going to do. I'm going to kind of have a little mixture of things I'm going to talk about today. It's going to be an educational session. So you want to sit back and let's get to this. Now, the first item of business is I want to show y'all how to do your paperwork. All right, I'm going to show you how to do your paperwork. And because I see a lot of people, they always asking me questions about certain things, how to do this, how to do that. And so I'm going to show you today how to do your paperwork. Let me make sure I got all this. That's the abatement. And I'm going to use it as an example. I'm going to use abatement at common law. I'm going to use that as an example. All right, and it's right here on the screen right now. Now, what it is I used a program called Abby Fine Reader. It's called Abby, A-B-B-Y, Fine, F-I-N-E, Reader. That will convert PDFs into a Word format. That way you don't have to type it all yourself. And that's what you're looking at right here. I used an Abby Fine Reader. And I converted this abatement at common law into a Word format. Now I can, change it, edit it, and do what I need to do with it. So I'm going to show you how to take these documents and turn them into court documents that you can file in court. Okay, so I want you to roll with me. Now, first and foremost, if you are in California is pretty easy because they already have a California format on Word. If you look right here, if you go into your Word and you go to File and then you go to New and you search online, legal pleading paper, we can click that right there and then click Create and bam, it already has it pre-formatted for you. All right? Already has it pre-formatted for you. This is in Word, okay? Now, California, you'll see they have the numbers, the line numbers on the side of their documents. I'm going to show you how to do it if you don't have California, but I'm going to use California first. All right, so what I'm going to do, oops, hold on real quick. Y'all can't see what I'm doing. I just made that document. Y'all can't see it. All right, that's it right there. So that's how the California document is going to look. All right, like that right there. Okay. So what I'm about to do, I'm gonna have to probably do it like this right here. Okay, what I'm about to do is I'm going to convert this right here and put it on a pleading paper. All right, so this is abatement at common law. I'm talking about it all the time. It usually has a lot of good documents on it for right to travel. And in there, you'll see it has certain things like this was the letter to the judge right here. All right. This is the letter to the judge. Here's your notice to abate. All right. Notice to abate right here. This right here is the affidavit of denial of corporate existence. All right, so let's take this first. I'm going to copy all of this affidavit of denial of corporate existence. I am going to take the notary address. We'll put all that in there. I'm going to copy it. Then I'm going to place it on this document right here. All right, so I'm going to go, you see with the body of the pleading, and I'm just going to paste it. So now you can see that right there I got my affidavit of denial of corporate existence. I can change my pleading title, put the names of the participants right here, the name of the court, whether it's United States District Court, Atlanta Division, or whatever, or whatever. All right, your name and address or whatever, all of that. Now I got that in here. Okay, and then I also have, and you may have to do a little editing to it, because you copied, like take this page 2 of 2 out. Make sure any bankruptcy right there. Go through and make all the necessary changes you need to make to it. And this is your notary. Make sure you have the right date on it. And you can print this out. This almost came out exactly how you needed it. So right there, you see how fast I just put together an affidavit of denial of corporate existence. I just converted the document over into a Word format, copied and pasted the section I need to right here into a ready-made template. Now, let me show you how to do it when you don't have a template, just on a blank piece of paper. All right. All right, so now this is a blank piece of paper. Same thing, I'm gonna copy and paste everything on here. So there's my affidavit of denial of corporate existence, all right? But I don't have a caption of the pleading on here. So what you have to do is, usually you can copy the court paperwork from, like if an attorney send you something, you could copy it from them. But I'm going to use something here in Georgia. So I'm going to put and now the thing about it is too, let me say this to you. Usually in court paperwork, you need to follow court rules, and you need to know what type of font to use. Usually the fonts that are normally used are Courier New, Arial, and Times New Roman. Those are, the 3 major fonts that are used in court paperwork. Also, they usually want the size of the font on average is about 12 points. However, some judges are blind and they may want it 14 points or something bigger. Now, I haven't seen that often, but it could be the case. All right, but 12 points is usually the average, and you want it double spaced. I see a lot of times where they take corporate paperwork and it doesn't follow any of these things. So right here, I'm just gonna select all these, and I'm gonna go up here and I'm just gonna double space it, all right? So now I got everything double spaced. I make my corrections I need to make. First hand, your written signature, not typed out. Make sure all Everything, okay, affidavit. Okay, so now I'm going to put a caption on this. All right, so now I make my heading is not going to, I'm going to use Times New Roman, but I'm going to make it about 16 points. In the Superior Court of Georgia, Atlanta Division. All right, so I'm not gonna double space that. I'm gonna remove the spacing on it. All right, now, so I got that. Now, how I do my box, sometimes you'll see they'll have this little line right here in the middle. What I do is I insert a text box. I like to use text boxes a lot. And I'll just go down and do this. Use the parentheses, and then I'm gonna right click it, and then I'm going to edit the box. I'm gonna right click on it, format auto shape, and it's gonna say color, and I'm like no color or anything. All right, no color. I go back, you see there's nothing there. Now it's invisible. So there I have my line right there. All right, I'm gonna make another page. I could insert text box, and now I'm gonna have my plaintiff. Okay, so this, let's say this is state of Georgia versus John Henry Doe. All right. And under this, I'm going to put in lowercase plaintiff, and down here under this and defendant. I might italicize it, highlight it, and then just put italicize that and italicize that. Might make it a little smaller. That's kind of big. Let's make it 10 points. All right. Same thing. I'm going to right click, format auto shape, no color. Now it's invisible. All right. All right. Over here, insert text box. Where's the text box? Where'd it go? Oh yeah, text box. And this is gonna be for my case number. I'm gonna delete that. Case number. However the case number is, and then I'm going to format the shape, color, no color. Bam. Now that allows me to move these around the way I want to. Oops. Go back. Make these smaller. All right, so right there, all right? You can see just that quick, that's called a caption of the pleading. Now I just took a document, I just took something, I copied something right off of a document and put it on this paperwork in less than 10 minutes. In less than 10 minutes, all right? Now, of course, I'm gonna go through here and change the names in there to my name, or whatever needs to be changed, because this is a boilerplate document. But I just wanted you to see how easy it is, you know, for you to put your paperwork together. You don't have to have anybody do your paperwork for you. All right. You see, this is page 2 of 2. Just delete that out. All right. So Make sure all of my grammar's correct. Make the necessary changes. And that's it. You know, you see it right there. Bam. All right. Bam. Okay. Let's say, do you know what the resource is called on SPG in regards to business trust construction? And no, it's called trust. It's called the trust thing. What are you talking about? It's a tab that says trust. We'll get into that in a minute. Pay attention to this, y'all. I'm trying. Listen, pay attention to this, because most of you motherfuckers' paperwork be trash. It be trash. And then you sit there and you complain about, well, why they won't take my paperwork? I went to the clerk's office and they wouldn't file my thing. I ain't never in my life had paperwork where the clerk wouldn't file it. The clerk ain't even looking at what's on your paperwork. She didn't take your paperwork because your paperwork is trash, nigga. It got motherfucking typos everywhere. You can't fucking spell. It don't look professional. Trash. Sovereign citizen bullshit. I just did this right here and right in front of your face. Less than 3 minutes, probably. Whole document right here, ready to go. That's affidavit of denial of change the dates on there, obviously. Put your name in here. And then you can even do this. Where it say your name, you just go copy this right here, your name. Just copy it. And then go up here where it says replace. And you're going to paste that there, and you're going to put your name right here, John Henry Doe. Replace all. Yes. All right, close. So now I go back to the document. Now my name is in here everywhere it needs to be. Just that fast. You see how fast things can go when you know how to use the tools that are available to you. All right, you don't have to take all this time. Somebody could take this and actually do paperwork for people. It would be a very good business for you, because a lot of people need paperwork done. Just master doing paperwork. As a matter of fact, if you master doing paperwork and you read it enough times, you'll begin to understand it yourself. All right, you won't even have to, do all of this other stuff. All right, so right here, all right, well, I did the John Henry Doe, governments, 100% at the government's social security number. Go through here willingly. Make sure you got all your grammar correct, because, Word will check that for you. All right. John demands the full due process, because you'll be surprised how many mistakes they make too. Benefits of that socialist system, or knowledge and belief, and of which one had. I remember back when I was growing up, you didn't have to put a comma before and, but grammar, because rules of grammar have changed somewhat. From when I was younger, they do change somewhat. Grammar, the rules of grammar does kind of modify itself a little bit over time from what I've noticed. All right, so let's just recap. This is called a caption of the pleading right here. That's just called a caption of the pleading. All right, we copy and pasted this whole body out of abatement at common law. This is the affidavit of denial of corporate existence. You can do this with any document. Okay, all right, I used Times New Roman. Those are the font. That's the name of the font. So this font is called Times New Roman. We can also use, let me select all. We can also use Courier New. Courier New, I kind of like it on some stuff. Where is that? Thought I just saw it. Yeah, there it is. So that's Courier New. Or we can use Arial. That's Arial. All right. So those are your fonts. You want your fonts, usually my heading, I'm going to make that about 16 points. Okay, in the body, I'm going to make that 12 points. On average, I always use 12-point font, and it's always double spaced. I always make it double spaced. Also, your paragraphs, they should fill out. You see up here, you got the different types. I always use this one right here. Make sure it extends it out to the edge of the paper. Fills everything out. All right? And that's a quick lesson on paperwork. Okay, how we're going to use a program, once again, called Abby Fine Reader. Abby Fine Reader, all it does, there are many different type of PDF converters. So you can just put in PDF converter, and you can to convert a PDF into a Word file. Then from there, I just simply copy and paste. I'll do one more for you, okay? Let's do, let's go back over here to my abatement at common law, and I'm gonna take this, this memorandum of law on the right to travel. It's called a memorandum of law on the right to travel. So let me copy all of it. Y'all don't need to see me copying it, I know. So let me. All right, so I've copied this, and using this same document, I'm just gonna highlight all this right here. All right, put that in there. All right, now I got the same thing going here. All I did was copy and paste, and now I got my accused memorandum of law in support of notice to abate. Now you could do the same thing when you go and you just photocopy, when you get a forms and pleadings book. You can use Abby Fine Reader. You can literally copy it at the law library, like in Emory University. They photocopy or let you just copy it and then email the copies to you. Right out of that, I take that and put it through Abby Fine Reader and convert it to Word. I don't type this stuff by hand. I don't type anything you see me on the internet when I'm showing you some slides that I make for my my videos and things like that. I don't type none of that shit by hand. I don't type that shit by hand. Okay? I'm doing what I'm doing right now in front of you. All right? Just right here. So now we got our memorandum of law. Look at that. I got that whole thing put in here in less than damn 1 minute. 1 minute. And now all I need to do is go in here and just read it, make sure I got all the necessary changes. Once again, I got it double spaced. Sometimes I'll do some fancy stuff like right here, my little quotes. I'll take those and then I'll like indent and use my paragraph and make them go over one. I give a little cleaner look. Get this a little cleaner look. Give it a clean look. Make it get a clean look. All my quotes, all these quotes in here. All these quotes. I'm going to just indent them one, kind of separate them from everything else. Go in here, clean up all my grammatical errors. All right. This right here is a quote as well, all my quotes. I'm going to indent them. All right here. Looks real clean. Looks real clean. All right, once again, that's my caption of the pleading. Your caption of the pleading is going to be based off of your state. Everybody's state caption is different. Everybody's state caption is different. You should have mastered utilizing. I use this same tool no matter what state I have to do paperwork for someone to do. I can do a caption of a pleading for any state and make it look exactly like theirs, identical. Okay, that's one of the things that you need to do. Your paperwork needs to be presentable. It needs to look exactly like theirs. When the clerk gets it, she doesn't even need to second guess herself. She sees it and she says, okay, this looks like typical court paperwork that I file every day. If she has to do a double take on your paperwork is trash. It's trash. All right? Is everybody finding me? Okay, I don't put all that. I'm a real living soul. I don't use that in my paperwork. I do not use that. Let me show you something I will use in my paperwork. I might even change this. I might come out and say, now comes John Henry Doe by and through the undersigned authorized representative and files this and notice to abate. All right? So that right there, now what does that do? All right? So now I say, now comes. Highlight that. You might want to bold that out. John Henry Doe is going to be in all caps because what? Because we're in the public. All right? Everything in the public. They only deal with corporations. And it's coming by and through the undersigned authorized representative. At the end of this document, when you sign your name, you're going to sign your name to it, and you're going to sign your name as what? The authorized representative, all right? Down here, your name, and under your name, you're going to put what? Now, we don't have to get in all that real living soul shit that y'all do that automatically puts you out there. Oh, this one of these motherfucking crazy ass sovereign citizen motherfuckers that's copying some shit. So already they looking like, God damn, you know, it got to deal with this bullshit. All right. So right here, let's read this. Now comes John Henry Doe by and through the undersigned authorized representative and files this accused memorandum of law in support of notice to abate. This memorandum will be construed to comply with provisions necessary to establish presumed fact. Rule 301, Federal Rules of Evidence, and attending state rules. Should interested parties fail to rebut any given allegation of fact or matter of law addressed herein with specificity, the position will be construed as adequate to meet requirements of judicial notice, thus preserving fundamental law. Matters addressed herein, if not rebutted, will be construed to have general application. This memorandum addresses the issues of state statutes, regulation, and licensing of a constitutional right to free travel upon the public roads of the citizen. Now, we are communicating through grammar because citizen is with a capital C. That is letting them know that is a proper noun. The proper noun is in the republic because that noun is what you find in the Constitution. Everywhere you see the word citizen in the Constitution, prior to the 14th Amendment, it's capitalized. After the 14th Amendment, it's with a small c. That's letting you know we're talking about two different kinds of citizens. One is a real living soul. The other is a legal fiction entity. All right? That's what they're talking about. We don't have to say legal fiction. I don't have to say real living soul. I don't have to say none of that goddamn shit that y'all been passing on just continuously. Like, it's like the story. It's just like this story. I'm gonna tell you the story again. It's that story of the woman who baked the bread. You know, this woman, when she made homemade bread, she would always get the dough, and then she would take, once she got her dough ready, she would slice the ends of the dough. And you asked her, well, why do you slice the ends of the dough to your bread? She said, I don't know, that's what my mama did. And then we go talk to the mama, and the mama said, I don't know, that's what my mama did. And then they said, I don't know, that's what my mama did. And we talked to the great grandma, and we asked her, why do you cut the ends off the dough of your bread before you bake the bread? She said, my pan was too little. That's exactly what y'all be doing. Y'all just will repeat shit, wrong shit. That's what's real bad when you just out there regurgitating wrong shit, Wrong shit, just getting passed along. I can't even stop that shit with the birth certificate authentication. I just gave up trying to stop it. That shit done spread like wildfire. Just wrong information, spread like wildfire. I done put up videos and every fucking thing. It don't matter. It just sound good to people. They like it because it sound fucking good. What are donations? I'm teaching class right now. Can I get a donation? You know, are the people that follow me broke? That's something I be thinking about. I be looking at other people's lives, and man, they do be hitting them up $49, $100, $25. I be over here on my live. I be like getting down, and man, people don't even do $2, $5, or nothing like that. It's like, come on now. It's like, are we broke over here? We supposed to be sovereigns. Y'all supposed to have a mentality of abundance. Every time you give something, it should be the law of tenfold return. Okay, I'm giving them $5. That $5 is going to come back as 50. You say that to yourself. Okay, I'm giving him $10. That $10 is going to come back as 100. I'm giving him $100. That $100 is going to come back as 1,000. Just by you saying that, it's going to happen. Just by you saying that mentally or verbally. I herein donate $5, of which the universe will give back to me 10 times that amount in a never-ending stream of prosperity and abundance. A never-ending stream of prosperity and abundance. My flow, my supply never exhausts itself. It's like a river that's been going for the last 500 years. It's still flowing. That's how you should be thinking. Like, man, my money flows just like the river, like the Mississippi River. Mississippi River been flowing for what, 1,000 years? Longer than that, I'm sure. Ain't never stopped, not one time. That's how your money's supposed to be. But it only going to get like that when you put it. I appreciate that, Isaiah Martin, for the $1.99. Grateful for the insight. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. All right. So right there, I appreciate that. John Lewis, the $5. Got you, big bro. Just tapped in the building. I appreciate that. So right here, you see this right here, how professional that looks? You see how fast I did that? You see how fast I did that? Now let's do something else. Now let me do a certificate of non-response. Let's look at a certificate of non-response and see, can I make that look very professional? See if I already got one already in Word. Wait a minute, I might got this right here. Okay, yeah, let me use this right here. Let me do this right here. I think there's something in here. Let me show you another something. All right, let me show you. Yeah, let me show you something. Okay, that's the exemption. That's not what I wanted. Using your exemption. That's it right there. Yeah. All right, cool. All right, so this is, let me put it on the screen for you. Put it on the screen. All right, this is using your exemption right here. All right, so right here, I already converted this over using Abby Fine Reader into a Word format. Now I can go through the entire document. It's no longer in a PDF format. And I can go through here and find what I need. Here's the bonded bill of exchange if I want to take that. But that's not what I'm looking for right now. Let's do a bond real quick. I want to do a court bond. And so here's a court bond right here. They found one right here. This is a court bond. Let me see. They got another one in here. There's a accepted for value stamp. Here's the bond. So here's a bond. This is a case bond that you put in. So let me just copy this. And then I'm going to go back over to my document. Right here. And then I'm going to highlight all this again. And notice I've been using the same. I ain't had to go back in and retype my caption of the pleading over not one time. I'm just using the same thing and just copying and pasting over that. All right, so now, oops, what happened? Oh, I think wait a minute, let me go back. Take it down a little bit. Let me put this, let me just do it like this. Oops. Why is it doing that? Hold on. Can I bring it down here? All right, that's it right there. Okay. Had to use a different format, so just bring that over here. Actually, let me just do it like this. I don't need this right here. I don't need to claim it. I can take all this off because I'm putting it on a pleading. All right, I got that in there. Bond order, and this is all this. I can delete all this. Delete all this. All right, that's my certificate of service. Make sure that's on another page. And here's my bond right here. Make sure the dates are nice. All right. Equality under law, I. Put your name right there. A title sovereign, do how here to declare. And I wouldn't put a title sovereign. I would put well, you can leave title sovereign. There appear no bond, contract of title, or record entered by the claimant to initiate the matter allegedly. Now, if you think that the thing about it is, and a lot of times what I'll do is I'll put bond up here. I'll just put it right there. All right. What you probably don't know is that in admiralty requires you to bond a case. A bond is just a promise. All right, so all you're doing is putting something into the record and letting them know that you promised to cover all the cost of the case in case you lose. All right, this right here is you having clean hands and acting in good faith and putting everybody in the public on notice that you are an honorable individual. There appearing no bond, contract, or title. Now, I want to show you in Georgia how they have the same thing, and I'm gonna show you how it's supposed to go. They got the same thing in Georgia. So let me pull this up real quick. See if I can. All right, so we're going to do OCGA. It's official code of Georgia annotated. So I went to Justia Law. Now, Justia Law has all the codes for all the states. So I can go to U.S. codes and statutes. Any state I need to find the code section to, I can go right here and find it for your state. You don't have to be looking all over the place. So right here in Georgia, these are the Georgia state codes. All these are the updates. It got updated in 2022. And I'm going to Title 18, which is debtor and creditor. All right? General provisions, debtor and creditor relations. But this right, I want to look at attachment proceedings because attachment is when they arrest somebody or seize some sort of property, what they have to do that. So under the general provisions, we can go into bond provisions generally, bond requirements generally, and then the form of attachment right here. Here's the form of attachment. Click to view. Is this, yeah, this is the bond. Okay, they got it different here. I almost did not recognize it. Here's the affidavit. Let me just get all of this. All right, this is all the verbiage that belongs on there. So now let me go back to my paperwork. I just copied all of that. Let me go back to my paperwork. And now we're going to, now this is a bond I just pulled out of that document. Let me show you, this comes straight out of that document, all right? So that's an affidavit, and here's the bond. So these are two different things right here. Affidavit of attachment, affidavit of the state of Georgia, I personally appeared who oath on oath says he is an attorney at law, blah, blah, blah. This is what the attorney's supposed to put in. So here's his bond. Wait a minute, actually, let me leave that on there. Let me see how I would do this. Yeah, let me just take that off and show you the bond. We bond for the state of Georgia, county of, and let me put Fulton on there. All right. And it's coming right out of their stuff. They know what bonds are. It's right here. There's a bond. We the principal and see in admiralty, the plaintiff has to put in a bond and the defendant has to put in a bond. All right, so this is the bond that they have to put in, and this is in accordance with OCGA 1711-4. The prosecutor has to put in a bond too. Now, today, they don't put bonds in the case file because they operating off of a presumption that everybody's already bonded because everybody in the public is bonded. But that's still a presumption that you can rebut. It is not in fact because you don't see it in the case file. You don't know if you bonded or not. But there's a presumption that everybody who comes into the courtroom is already bonded, especially if they got a bar card. But that's a presumption, and we don't operate off presumptions. We operate off facts. So right here you can say we, all right, and it could who could be whoever that is, principal and security jointly and severably acknowledge ourselves bound unto the foregoing defendant, and it's like a replevin bond. All right. So right here, this attachment, state of county to the said marshal of this court and his lawful. This is all they verbiage for their bond. This day of, and they had it all jumbled up. You got to go in here and read it and separate stuff out of it. It wasn't jumbled up like that. I think you had to go to another site. But this is their bond. I just took this straight out of the book and now I copied and pasted. And now it's in the form now, and that's how you do any document. When you get a forms and pleadings book, what you're not going to see a lot of times in a forms and pleadings book is the caption of the pleading. You're just going to see the body of it. You got to know how to copy the body out of it, put a caption of the pleading on there, and copy and paste it in there, like that. That's how you learn how to do your paperwork. I don't get where people try to write paperwork from scratch. That's the most idiotic shit ever. You know how hard that is? I started off trying to do that shit. You got certain elements that have to be addressed in your pleading. And that's what templates do for you. They guide you to ensure that you put all the necessary requirements, like the jurisdictional elements, parties, all of that is in there. All right. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. It's just something I want to throw at you real quick before I get into the next thing, the next discussion we're going to table. I talk about. We're going to table this for a minute. Let me see. Where is my... Okay, I appreciate that. I appreciate to Muhammad. Your information has helped me enormously. I'm on SBC University and plan on keeping my membership as long as you have the site up and going. I appreciate that, brother. Flip, your teachings put this info in order for me because when I initially came across this, I was lost. I didn't know where to start. Thank you and peace. You're welcome. Drew Anatucci, I appreciate the 1999 and 9 to the 9th power of 9. Greg, thank you, brother. Hans Gruber, $10. I appreciate that. Blessings to you too. John Lewis, I appreciate the $5, bro. I got you, big bro. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Isaiah Morton, I appreciate that. I appreciate everybody. And you know, it's not how much you give. I ain't even tripping off of that. Marduk Zaya, I appreciate that, $9. And the $4.99. Thank you so much for the knowledge, brother. You're welcome. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Thank you, everyone. All right. So I guess we can get ready to go to something else that I want to talk about. Now we got our paperwork out of the way. We can get to the topic of the discussion. Why are we doing this? Now, why are we doing this? Okay. All right. The reason why we're doing this is because, I've studied this information for a long time. I studied it for a long time. I'm a researcher. I don't research as hard as I used to go when I was younger. I used to go real hard. I don't go as hard as that anymore because I'm trying to just live life and relax. But I still read a lot and do things like that. But when I used to go hard in the paint, there was one group of people that always used to come up no matter what I was researching with this information. And the name of those people are the Jews. The Jews would always come up in some kind of way. And that's why they call the posse comitatus, they call them anti-Semitic. They say it was an anti-Semitic group. But it's not that people are anti-Semitic. It's just that when you do the research, these are the people that are the ones behind everything. I hate to say it, but that is the truth. I've been researching, if you're Jewish, I'm not talking about all Jews, even though all Jews are somewhat complicit because you're not going to worry about it because it's your people that's taking over the planet. So it ain't going to bother you that much. You might not agree with it, but you ain't going to do too much to stop it either. You ain't going to stand up and stop it. All right, so, but it's not all Jews, though, that are involved in this. But so when I started studying Secure Party, well, I was like, well, who are the people who made the Secure Party? I was able to find an individual that had filed a UCC-1 back in 1968. He filed a UCC-1 back in 1968. And I said, say, man, how did you know about this information back in 1968? He said some Jews taught it to him. Every time I'm in a discussion with somebody, their name come up. He said some Jews, he said these Jewish guys taught me how to do it. Which made sense because they own what? The monetary system. And this is their thing, money. That's their thing, money. They got something called the Jewish Shitar. Let's look at that real quick. It's called the Jewish Shitar. Or the Jewish Gauge. Or the Jewish Star. Look at this real quick. All right. This is called the Shitar's effect on English law. A law of the Jews becomes the law of the land. And this is necessary for you to understand what's going on today because obviously the Jews own the Federal Reserve. Almost everybody sitting on the board, the face of them, the Federal Reserve chairman, everybody, they always Jewish. When I first came into the knowledge of the Federal Reserve, Alan Greenspan was the chairman of the Federal Reserve. And, he's Jewish. Janet Yellen, she left there now. She's your Secretary of the Treasury. She's Jewish. And I'm going to show you a list of people in your government who are all Jews. It will probably shock you. And then you'll begin to understand why when we had the presidential debate, the first hour all went to discussing Israel. If that wasn't a slap in the face, I don't know what is. But I can understand how they feel the way that they feel, though, because they own most of the businesses. Like, why the fuck are y'all celebrating Christmas? We own almost everything. We own the department stores. We own the malls. Hell, why we ain't celebrating Hanukkah? I get it. I'm not at odds with it at all. Once you have to understand who's in control of everything, I get it. I'm not mad at you. But let's look at this right here. It says how the sheetar put this over here, hold on. All right, so we're reading this right here. How the sheetar's effect on English law, a law of the Jews becomes the law of the land. Introduction. English law, like the English language, is an amalgam of diverse cultural influences. The legal system may fairly be seen as a composite of discrete elements from disparate sources. After the conquest of 1066, the Normans imposed on the English an efficiently organized social system that crowded out many Anglo-Saxon traditions. The Jews, whom the Normans brought to England, in their turn contributed to the changing English society. The Jews brought a refined system of commercial law, their own form of commerce, and a system of rules to facilitate and govern it. These rules made their way into the developing structure of English law. Several elements of historical Jewish legal practice have been integrated into the English legal system. Notably, among these is the written credit agreement, the sheetar, or star, as it appears in English documents. So now we can understand why they can operate so effectively in a credit-backed system, because they created it. We know that they created the interest and all of that. And the Muslims, that they don't go for that. They don't have interest in Islam. It wasn't any interest in Christianity either. That ought to let you know something right there. The basis of the sheetar, or Jewish gauge, was a lien on all property, including realty, all property. You want me to show you in the Georgia Code where they put a lien on all property? It's a lien on all property, including realty, that has been traced as a source of the modern mortgage. Under Jewish law, the sheetar permitted a creditor to proceed against all the goods and land of the defaulting debtor. Both movable and immovable property were subject to distraint. In contrast, the obligation of night service under Anglo-Saxon law barred a land transfer that would have imposed a new tenant, and therefore a different king owing service, upon the lord. The dominance of personal feudal loyalties equally forbade the attachment of land and satisfaction of debt. Only the debtor's chattels could be seized. These rules kept feudal obligations intact, assuring that the lord would continue to be served by his own knights. When incorporated into English practice, the notion from Jewish law that debts could be recovered against the loans secured by all property, movable and immovable, was a weapon of socio-economic change that tore the fabric of feudal society and established the power of liquid wealth in place of land holding. That's how they got rid of feudalism. Feudalism was destroyed by credit agreements. When the Normans came in, and brought the Jews with them, and they started bringing it. First, you couldn't put no lien against property, not real property. That was how the kings ensured that the lords, they kept the same people in place. But once they were able to eliminate that, they tore the society apart. They took over. The Crusades of the 12th century opened an era of change in feudal England. To obtain funds from Jews, nobles offered their land as collateral. Although the Jews, as aliens, could not hold land in fee simple, they could take security interests of substantial money value. This is another reason why I think they say banks can't own nothing today, because they couldn't own any land, but they were able to put an attachment on the land and have the value of it transferred to somebody else. Man, it's ingenious. These people are very clever. I'm not even going to lie. When you study the history, when you see how the state of affairs was, how they could take something and analyze it and come in and break it apart. This is going to lead me into some other discussions when we start reading Mein Kampf by Adolf Hitler, when we read the Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion, when we read The International Jew by Henry Ford, when we read My Irrelevant Defense, when we read, Behold a Pale Horse. It's a lot of different documents out there that I've read and videos that I've watched. But it all leads back to banking, and these people are in control of the banking. They're in control of the money. And that's another reason why you have the secure party process. Okay, I want everybody to listen to what I'm going to say. The reason why you don't see me doing these other processes that these people come up with, you don't see me doing anything like nationality or some type of ecclesiastical depot or even really challenging jurisdiction. I'm not really for the challenging jurisdiction. It is something feasible that you can do, but these systems weren't designed for you to challenge jurisdiction. What they were designed for is for you to recognize the fact that there is no money and you are the source of the money. Every punishment that they have in their system has to do with money. If you don't believe me, just stop and think. They put you in jail because they're holding you as collateral for the recovery of a debt like they did in debtors' prisons. But everything is money. Kyrie Irving spoke out. It hit him for $500,000. That was his fine for just running his mouth. Kanye West, okay, you was a billionaire, not anymore. You worth about $100 million now. In the bank, you bounce a check. Oh, we're going to hit you with a fee. Oh, you run a light. Oh, it's going to be a traffic ticket. We get everything, every punishment that is being meted out to you is commercial in nature. What is it that you don't see? How come you don't understand that? And so when there isn't any money, the defense against it ain't for all that arguing and shit. You arguing about not paying a debt when there ain't no fucking money to pay a debt with. You look like a damn fool. You look like a damn fool. You arguing about paying taxes with Federal Reserve notes. That's they shit. That's like getting on a monopoly board with monopoly money, okay, and then you pull a card from Community Chest that say you got to pay $200 in taxes. And you say, I shouldn't have to pay no tax. Why I got to pay a tax? Nigga, you paying a tax with monopoly money. You on a monopoly board using monopoly money. Okay, don't be complaining about the tax laws. That is in a Federal Reserve system. We on their monopoly board using their monopoly money, nigga. Now do you understand why I say all the tax protesters look like goddamn fools? They look like fools to me. They look like straight up fools. All the communists and the socialists and the liberals look like damn fools too. They look like fools. They like straight up fools to me. Because the stuff that they complaining about, the people who are creating it is the people they serving. They talking about, oh, the wealthy are oppressing the poor. Well, goddamn, Jews own most of the wealth, dumbass nigga. And Karl Marx is a Jew who created the Communist Manifesto. Do you understand what I'm saying? They look stupid, but they were able to hide that fact from you because they want you. See, the thing is, why the deception? All right, you said, well, why are they doing this? They're doing this because they want a new world order and they need your voluntary compliance. So they have to create bad situations where you'll come to them for the answer. They need your voluntary consent. Everything in the universe requires consent. That's how they're going to sidestep karma too. Because if you voluntarily do something, they won't incur any karma. It won't be a karmic debt that they have to incur. So everything on their system is based off voluntary compliance. That's another thing you always have to remember. You always have to remember they need your voluntary compliance. All debts had to be sworn to under penalty of perjury. There isn't any money. There's a public and a private. The public and a private is necessary for you to understand so you can understand how they obtain the jurisdiction to even implement a Federal Reserve system. It is constitutional what they're doing. That's something else. People say, oh, this is a de facto. Nah, it's not de facto, bro. And as a matter of fact, most of you haven't even studied de facto versus de jure anyway. You should get an American jurisprudence and read up on de facto, and I think it'll open your eyes like, God damn, a de facto government is still a legitimate government. So, but ain't nobody studying none of this shit. They just regurgitating what other people have said. And that's what I don't want on my channel. I want my channel to be a channel of people who do research. That's what I want. I want a channel of, I want people in the chat room say, hey man, I researched this right here. Let me show you what I got. I want no motherfucker just regurgitating something like how they do with Secrect Trust. Secrect Trust means beneficiary, nigga. But people will keep using that word as if it's some kind of trust. How can I get access to my Secrect Trust? Well, first of all, you can start by looking up the goddamn word Secrect trust, motherfucker. Then they get mad at me when I say it. They get mad at me when I talk to them like that. But I talk to them like that because I want them to be scared to come to me and ask me another motherfucking question when they ain't dotted all the I's and crossed their T's. Like, look, I'm not fucking with this nigga unless I make sure I done dotted my I's and crossed my T's, because he will clown me right on the public, just like they do at Harvard. They have them students ready to drop out of motherfucking college because they come into class, and the professor asks them, okay, what was the points in X and Y, Z case? Such and such versus the city of Omaha. And you ain't ready, and you at Harvard University, you supposed to be amongst the brightest students in the nation. You are valedictorians and salutatorians of your high schools. You all got 4.0 GPAs, and you come in this motherfucker unprepared. You better know every definition of every word in this motherfucker. That's how I get down. So when you approach me and I act a certain way, or you want to get on you said, well, you know, Yusef, can I get a consultation? Listen, if you thinking you gonna get me on a consultation and record me saying some crazy shit, you deluding yourself. Because my consultations is all about accountability. What are you doing? I'm putting it right back. I'm gonna hit you with so many questions. Did you read this? Did you read that? You didn't read this. Did you look up this word? How's your paperwork? You put your paperwork together yet? Have you memorized what you need to say in court? Have you memorized it yet? You ain't memorized it. How do you think you're going to win? Oh, you think you're going to contact me the day before you go to court, and it's a week, let's say a week before. You think you're going to contact me a week before you go to court, and I'm going to provide you in 1 hour all the necessary information you need to go in there and win? That's what you think? See, this is why I started a school, all right, because I've done this for a long time. I see how we in a society where there's no accountability. They will blame you if something doesn't go right for them, which is strange. It was something always strange to me, because in this space, everybody's supposed to be sovereigns. You said, pay me to close the Twitter space with you. Okay. Voluntary compliance through self-assessment. Yes, but isn't one of the maxims of law, we are all responsible for what we create, trying to put this together. I don't know what that maxim of law is. We respond, but you are. Yeah, that should be common sense. You're responsible for what you create. That should be just common sense. That is rooted in the universe is mental. The only reason you're in any situation that you're in because you thought yourself into that situation. You have to take full accountability. You can't be a god or a goddess unless you take full accountability. A god is anything or anyone who's in control. That's all it means. It doesn't mean that you're the creator of the balanced universe or anything like that. Okay, you know, you got 7 levels to a perfected human being. You got a beast man. I want you to write this down. At the bottom of the list is beast man. And then above that is something called mankind, which is a kind of a man. And then above that, you got a man. And then above that, you got a human. And above that, you got a human being. And then above that, you have a supreme being. And then above that, you have a God. And what those represent are levels of development. See, a lot of these guys don't understand why they wear this badge L at the end of their name. They don't understand why they wear it. Not really. You know, if they did, they would never use Bey. You know, Bey is Turkish. You know, that ain't really have anything to do with us. It is a title of nobility, but it's not connected to us as a people. L is. And so when you say L, what you're saying is you are putting yourself in a position as a perfected man, or as someone who is at least self-aware.
that you have acknowledged that you're responsible for yourself. Even in the feds, when you catch a charge, they give you 3 points for acceptance of responsibility. Look, if you'll just accept the responsibility of your actions, we'll give you 3 points off. Now, that shit don't mean nothing in the feds because they're going to give you 3 points off and then they're going to put 3 points back on somewhere else down the line. You dealing with a devil now. We are dealing with devils. I'm going to tell you something now. We are dealing with devils. All right, so when you're dealing with devils, you gotta understand how devils operate. See, the next thing, how they getting you with this devil thing is they didn't put in your mind a devil with a pitchfork, horns on his head, got a mean look on his face. It's hard for you to imagine a devil as a smiling human being coming out. Hey, how you doing, Yusef? How you doing, man? I really love your show. Gosh, follow you all the time, man. You're fucking awesome. You won't see that person as a devil. But when you learn what to look for, you will see it because they can't contain themselves. Their devilishment is going to come out at some point. It's going to come out in the form of a question or something like that. It's going to come out. They can't contain it. They can't hide it forever. It's like holding your breath. Right? When they try not to show they devilishment, they're holding their breath. Eventually, they got to take a breath, and that's when you're going to see it. And you got to understand that because I remember one time, I'm going to give you an example what I'm talking about. I remember one time I was helping some people with some real estate. I was helping them with some real estate. And one of the things that were getting people in trouble was people was helping people with court cases and then telling them to stop paying their mortgage. If you're telling people out there to stop paying their mortgage, you could be susceptible to get charges from the feds. If you say, oh, look, I'm going to discharge your debt, just stop paying your mortgage. You're not supposed to stop paying anyway because you're supposed to be in honor. You can't discharge a debt when you're not in honor. But you're supposed to be, in an honorable situation when you do it. All right, so I'm helping this individual. So I get these phone calls. They from feds. They like federal agents, but they want to get a consultation with me, and they want to meet me at Starbucks. Because back then I wasn't doing consultations on the phone. People, it was word of mouth. People, I wasn't on the internet or nothing like that, and people word of mouth. And I came, to the Starbucks and waited for them. Now, here's the thing. I'd already been and dealt with the feds before. So immediately coming up into the parking lot, I see these black Crown Victorias in the parking lot. I'm like, damn, why are these black Crown Vics? Because, it's the cars that they utilize. A normal person probably wouldn't have noticed it, but a person with experience would. And then when I went into the Starbucks, I noticed that there were people sitting around at tables by themselves because they're always in plain clothes. They're always in plain clothes. They're not going to be they're going to look like regular people. And so I finally meet the 2 white ladies. They sit down and then, they start talking about the mortgage and why do you think you could do X, Y, and Z? Then I pulled out the case law that showed that I could do what the Supreme Court had ruled it and read it to her. Should I stop paying my mortgage? Oh, no, you shouldn't stop paying your mortgage. Every question that she had, I could support what I was saying. And in no way was I going to be irresponsible in any type of information I'm giving a person that could end up being disastrous for them. So when it was over with, when they got up and left, everybody in the surrounding tables got up and left too. And see, to a person that's not paying attention, they ain't paying attention to we in a space where you can get in trouble for some of the things that you're doing. But you shouldn't have to because you're supposed to know what is public and what is private. The public domain, public means government. So you don't have no power in that domain, no whatsoever. You don't have no power in that domain because that domain has been delegated to the government through the Constitution. That's why the Constitution is public law. Look up public law right now, and you'll see that public law is the constitutional law, criminal law, administrative law, tax law, public international law. all that is on the public side. All that has to do with government. Anything with that word public on it, it's they shit, okay? You cannot, and you can't say, well, we the sovereigns. No, because we did what? We gave them a constitution. We delegated authority to them. So you cannot subvert their authority that's been delegated to them, just like you cannot subvert the authority of a trustee. I'll teach you this in trust. I, as a settler of a trust, let's say I am real bad with my money. This actually happened. This is something that actually happened. My mentor told me this happened. Someone was a wealthy man. He wasn't good with his money. You know, these women be getting at him. You know, he like young girls and things like that, and he be tricking off his fucking money. But he know he ain't got no control of himself. So he go put his money in a trust, an irrevocable trust, which means that once you have formed the trust, you can't take it back. So that is why the verbiage in an irrevocable trust has to be precise, because you have to control the trust, because once you relinquish the property to the trust, you can't get it back. The only thing you got at that point is control. You do not have ownership, but you control it through the words that you and the instructions you gave to the trustee, which is what you want, because liability is with ownership. Now you shifted the liability from yourself to the corpus of the trust. All right? So he puts all this money, a couple of $1 million in the trust. And then like a week later, he meets some bad broad. And he come back to the trustee trying to get some money. And she told him no. He said, my money, blah, blah, blah. No. Because what is a trust? A trustee's duty is to preserve the assets and make it grow. That's what a trustee's duty is, to multiply the assets that are in the trust. They have fiduciary duty to do that, to protect those assets and make sure they invested properly, make sure that they double for generations to come. I'm not finna give you some money, nigga, so you can go trick this shit off. Okay, well, use that analogy with the United States of America. Once we agree to a constitution for the United States of America, you can't take that back. So I don't know where this notion a lot of people get, is that they thinking that because you the sovereign in some kind of way that you usurp their authority. Okay, now likewise, in the public, they got power. In the private, we got power. This is something else that is very, in my mind, is evil on the part of the socialists and the liberals and, you know, people who ascribe to some sort of Marxist, communist, socialistic type of political ideology. Once you ascribe to that, where they are lacking in their knowledge about that, is that communism is the elimination of private property, but private individuals, that's where our power is. Everybody who is in the private has power. See, what they're mad about is the fact that they can't make nothing happen for themselves. And the reason they can't make anything happen to them for themselves is because they're still operating down there at that beast level on the chart. You got that 7 levels. They refuse to elevate themselves. Like it says in the Oracle of Delphi, know thyself. All right? They refuse to look inward. They keep looking outward. They keep looking to the sky, to some invisible sky daddy. Or they keep looking to, you know, anything outside themselves, ancestral worship. What's another one? Santeria, hoodoo, magic, whatever. All right, magic is actually very good. I'm gonna explain magic in a second. But not to say that any of those things aren't effective or aren't real. I'm not saying that they're not effective and not real. I'm not saying ancestral worship is not doesn't have any efficacy to it. I'm not saying hoodoo religion is incorrect. All right, I'm not saying Santeria isn't. I'm not saying witchcraft, whatever it is that people are involved in. I understand the truth behind all that. Astrology, you know, people into astrology and things like that, letting signs dictate things for them. All that has truth to it. It does. I've studied a lot of that stuff. But I also understand what is the highest power. That's what my ego takes me. Okay, I understand all those things are powerful, but what's more powerful than all those things put together? And what's more powerful than all those things put together is the mind. Is the mind, because none of that stuff works without a mind. None of that stuff works without some kind of way you believing in it or having some sort of faith ascribed to it. None of it works. Belief is the electricity that puts things into action. That's why it's called the electromagnetic. Everything is electromagnetic, polarities of each other. It's like the electrical fluid and the magnetic fluid is what they call it in magic. But your belief, so your mind, so these people, they're teaching, when they're teaching you to get rid of private property, they're trying to take away all of your power, and they got to keep you looking outside of yourself, and they don't want you looking to the sky. So one of their pillars is the elimination of religion, which is what you see all of them doing. Nothing they stand for is about everything that they do spits in the face of God. Abortion spits in the face of God. LGBTQ spits in the face of God, or at least mainstream religion. Everything that they do. AI spits in the face of God. Any artificial anything spits in the face of God, because God is the natural world. God is natural food, natural air, natural water. Thoughts become things. All of these is God's world. That devil's world is the denial of all those things and the creation of a new world, like New World Order, and then getting other people in God's world to voluntarily consent to come into it. To show God, hey, look, just like with the story of Job, like, look, the only reason he rolling with you, you give him everything. I bet you, if you take everything away from him, he'll curse you to your face. He'll curse you to your face. He up there making a bet with God. And that's his, and listen, I'm using these words, God and Satan, loosely. I understand that these are concepts, all right, that belong to a certain religious mentality that I'm far above, by the way. But you have to give people what they want, so they'll want what you have to give. A lot of people that are out there are very arrogant with their knowledge, and that's never going to work. When you truly care about educating people, you'll come down to their level. You'll be all things to all people, because what you want to do is you want them to understand. That's what a teacher does. That's what gives a teacher joy, when he sees understanding in the eyes of his student. And a teacher will do anything to make that happen. He's looking for that's what I'm always looking for. I'm always looking for any technique that I can come up with to help people understand. Do I got to read this document for them? Do I got to go buy a green screen and put this shit up on behind me? Do I got to do video reviews? Oh, thank God for them putting up those court cases now. See how everything has two sides? How the results of COVID benefited us. Now they doing court on recorded TV. Now we go straight to YouTube and watch them and critique them and see the deception as it unfolds, or the mistakes that you made. A teacher is trying to extract something from someone. Not trying to indoctrinate anything into anyone, because all knowledge is already inside of you, because you are the universe. But you have a conscious and subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind is connected to the Akashic, not the conscious mind. So there's this veil, what they call the 7 veils, that veil that is preventing you from seeing everything that you need to see. And that's what you're striving in this world to pierce through the veils. And once you pierce through those veils, you'll realize that you're immortal, that fear is an illusion. That's what you're supposed to be spending your time doing, not chasing a motherfucking career. A motherfucking career ain't shit. A motherfucking career only gives you satisfaction in this life. That's why Jesus said, don't store up treasures in this life. You supposed to be, you need to be playing the long game. That's the short game. Oh, you just trying to be happy right here, right now. And you know why? Because you don't believe in nothing else after this. This has to be talked about, because this is at the root of everything that's going on in this country. Where is your spirituality? You have, a lot of people have just tossed it to the side. And that's why it needs to be framed in a scientific way. See, we got to get away from this spookism religion, invisible men in the clouds, talking snakes, and shit like that, the chosen people, we got to get away from the spookism. Everything can be explained scientifically. Everything can. If it cannot be explained scientifically, it only means that you understand it. That's all it means. But everything because magic is indistinguishable from science, because that's what magic truly is. Magic is really science. That's why I was going to say, I'm going to explain to you magic. Okay, when I talk about magic being the highest science, the highest magical science is constructive thought. What constructive thought is an individual who has disciplined himself to think only the thoughts that he wants to think. He doesn't allow other thoughts to enter his mind. Okay, a lot of times thoughts enter your mind, they do not derive from you. You got to master the skill of being able to separate the thoughts that derive from the internal you and thoughts that are coming from an outside influence. The majority of people can't distinguish between those kind of thoughts. That's why we live in a social media. This is a social influencer. It's a ton of influence. We have more influence going on in the world than any other time probably in the history of this planet. I'd be willing to probably bet on that. I can understand now why in the Bible it says the whole world will see something, because now we live in a time where the whole world can see something. We live in that time. If something happens, if an angel just say was to come down to earth and all the news put their attention on it, the whole world would see it. And if you had a message for the world, the whole world would get the message, And that's magic, though. Magic is constructive thought. And then the ability to focus, because anything that is focused down to a narrow point becomes a force. It's just like sunlight. When you focus it through a magnifying glass, it'll burn a piece of paper. Or water that's going through a water hose. When you focus it, it becomes a force. All right. Anything that is focused down to a narrow point becomes a force. The most powerful thing that can be focused down to a narrow point is thought. Thought is real. You got to look at thought as something tangible, as a mental vibration. That's why after mentalism and correspondence is vibration. It starts with the mind, and everything that corresponds with the mind manifests itself in the form of a vibrational frequency. So, you're thinking something, and that corresponding thought, the law of correspondence, is going to manifest itself, and it's going to have a vibrational frequency. It's going to have a name. It's going to have a name. Nothing can exist without a name. The name of something is its vibrational signature. So and that's why you can manifest things if you know its true name. It's just saying you can manifest something if you know its true vibrational signature. You have to say the magic words precisely. Anybody ever see that movie, Evil Dead? I think it was Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, when, he told me you had to say the magic words. Yeah, I got it. And he went and fucked up the words and released all the demons of hell upon the planet and shit. You seen that? Evil Dead, those are comedies to people, but when I watch that stuff, I'm always looking and seeing how much truth they put in it. It's amazing. Harry Potter had a lot of motherfucking truth. Harry Potter had a ton of truth. That's why a lot of people who knew was coming at her, because it's like, hey, look, don't give our children this. But that's only because they're ignorant and they don't understand it's really science. They think it's something from the devil. The thing itself is not evil. It's the person who wields the thing itself that is good or evil. Magic is not good or evil. It's the person who is conducting the magic that is good or evil. Just like a gun is not good or evil. It's the person who holds the gun that is good or evil. Same thing with a knife or with anything. The thing in and of itself is not evil. Magic is not good or evil. Magic is just science. Knowledge is just... Science is just the study of how God put everything together. That's all science is. Science is just a study of how God put everything together. I'm studying how he put it together. He got a roadmap for everything. And if you take the time to study it, you learn it. Like they take the time to learn, an insect, they study it, or, human nature, whatever it is. Everything follows a cause and effect. Cause and effect is what gives structure to everything. Cause and effect is what gives order, because it keeps things precisely operating the same way all the time. And so when you study that, you can learn things about things in nature. That is what he did for you. He created this world for you to explore. But right now, they're trying to keep you in a cage. They're trying to keep you in a cage. They're trying to keep you, man, the world the average person live in is so small. It's so small. You got a whole universe out there that was given to you to explore. The first thing you got to learn how to use those, you got to learn how to use your mind. You got to learn how to use the tool he gave you to explore it with. It's like everybody's been given an AK-47 and it's being put in the hands of an infant. And they don't know how to motherfucking use it. But they got a goddamn 50 cal gun in their hand. They can just let loose. Just let loose and lay some motherfuckers down with. But they don't know how to use it. They don't know how to use it. They take it for granted. They think it's no big deal. They don't believe in it. They got better things to do. What better thing could there be to do is to learn how to use the genie in the lamp. It's a genie in the lamp. Your wish is your command. All you got to do is form a wish, and it manifests itself. This is what the 2% and the 3% don't want you to know. This is what they really don't want you to know. They don't want you to ever come into that knowledge. Because once you become wealthy, now you're free. And once you become free, now you direct your attention to other more important things. Because getting the money wasn't that important. What's important is obtaining immortality. What's important is becoming powerful, to start ascending through the ranks, through the different dimensions. These are the things that's important to explore, to get more and more knowledge every day, because the universe is boundless. That means there's boundless amount of knowledge. You can't even conceive that. You know why your thinking is limited? Because it's just like this. If I tell you to think of a color that doesn't exist, you can't, because you can only cognize everything through your experiences. You can't contemplate something you've never seen before. That's why they tell you can only manifest anything you can conceive and believe you can achieve. You have to be able to conceive it and believe it first. And there are some things that are beyond your conception, because we're talking about what? Infinity. Everything you know about has a beginning and an end. All right, so these is why we got to start thinking. And once you start addressing these questions, now you start traveling the true path to enlightenment. The Sarato Mustaqim, the straight and narrow path that it talks about in the book of Matthew, chapter 24. It says, the road leading to destruction is broad and spacious, and many of those going through it. And the road leading into everlasting life is narrow and cramped, and few are the ones finding it. And right there in the Bible, when it says few are the ones finding it, that means you have to be looking for it to find it. But they're making sure you don't even start looking for it. They're making sure you don't even start looking for it. You're not even in a position to even start looking for it, because you're preoccupied with paying the bills. You're preoccupied with a traffic ticket. You preoccupied with these kids. You preoccupied with what is this nigga doing, or what is she doing and shit. She over there cheating on me? Is he over there cheating on me? I need to get some money. I got to get to my bag. The bag is necessary. But see, the thing about it is you got to learn how to get to the bag. You get to the bag by learning constructive thought. Because after you get the bag, the constructive thought is what you're going to be needing to utilize to go to the next level. And the constructive thought is what actually frees you up, because now you have power over all things. And once you realize that you have power over all things, you understand that it is you have to take accountability and responsibility. That's why I said on one of my videos, I said a person that doesn't take accountability is like a devil. That's evil when you think about it. You won't take accountability for the shit you created. You got to be a demon. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's a demon. That's a demon. They're going to take responsibility, accountability. They're going to lie. They're going to do everything they can. Everything is opposite. It's what Shaitan means, adversary. This is the true spirituality that we're going against. There's an adversary. There is an entity. He does have a negative vibrational frequency, but he's not more powerful than you. As a matter of fact, he's less powerful than you because all of his power has to come in the form of deception, because the only way you can defeat a God is making a God believe he's not a God. That's the only way you can stop a God. How can you stop a God? If you're a God, which means you're in control of, you're in control of everything, how can I defeat you? There's only one way. I got to do a Jedi mind trick and make you think, nah, you're not no God. Who told you that? Oh, that's some of that New Age bullshit. That's some of that New Age bullshit. When the things I'm talking about have already been scientifically verified. You got to become a scientist. The word scienta means to know. It means to know. That's a Latin term. That's where the word science comes from. To know. That's all the word means. To know. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free, not set you free. Ain't nobody holding you back but you. You're made free. It ain't never said set you free. That's something else. These people, they said the truth will set you free. That right there puts a different picture in your mind, and in some kind of way, you've been in some sort of confinement. You're being made into something else. When you start learning the truth, you're being made into an Ilaham. You're being made into one of the Elohim. You're being made into one of the Els. That's why it says, let us create man in our image and after our likeness. It don't say me, let me create. It was a group of beings. But everybody reads over that shit like it's not there. Or they let them give them some sort of explanation like that's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Then the people, when you see them come under my comment section, and they say, what are you talking about? That's not the Bible. They them zealots and everything. They like demons. Because that right there is blocking you. If anybody is trying to keep you focused outside of yourself, that's a demon. They're trying to put God outside of yourself. It even said that in Luke 17:21. He said, look, neither here nor there, but the kingdom of God is in you. And then they try to change that to amongst you. You go on Bible Hub, you look at the different translations, let's change that from in you to amongst you. That shit don't even make no sense, amongst you. That's what they doing though. They changing everything because only us people who are on that pathway already, who have been walking it, we're the ones seeing all the changes that are occurring. We're seeing them coming through and try to sweep away the evidence of which way you should go. They was doing this shit on the Egyptian walls. They've been doing this. It ain't been just happening. They've been taking stuff off the Egyptian walls. The same group of people, because they don't want you to see the evidence of them in history. They don't want you to see how far it go back. This goes back centuries. This is not nothing new. But what they've been able to do lately is they've been able to conceal their identity. That's what they're doing now. They're concealing their identity. And I'm talking about physical beings. I'm not talking about some invisible motherfucker, get out the spookism shit. I'm talking about real flesh and blood beings that have a certain mentality, that do not have the same biological makeup that you do. This is why they went off on Kennedy and everything. Kennedy, because he said the coronavirus was made for certain individuals, and certain individuals it was not going to affect. And then when somebody blasts the truth out, if you don't catch it when he blasted out, it's going to go over your head. They blast it out. They take a chance on just shouting it out to everybody. They'll just shout it out. And then they'll come right behind him. Oh, look at this crazy motherfucker. He's crazy. Oh, he's this, he's that. Start calling them names. Start, all kind of shit to make you like, yeah. You just go with him and shit. You don't investigate what the nigga say, what he was saying. You just like agreeing. Yeah, he's a piece of shit. You're right. investigate what the man, or a demon is doing that. A demon is coming behind the people. Demons come behind demons. A demon will say, yeah, this is a bad guy. Then there will be a demon behind him saying, yeah, he's a bad guy. That's right. And then next thing you know, you caught up with everybody else just agreeing. Let me tell you something. I had the biggest lesson ever in my life was when, I was in college and, sometimes things happen to you in life that have a profound effect on you that stay with you for the rest of your life. A lesson that stays with you for the rest of your life. And this is one. This lesson stayed with me for the rest of my life. And it was to have faith in yourself. And let me explain what I mean. We had a study group, and everybody in the group was very intelligent too. Wasn't no dummies. These intelligent guys I'm with. And I respect everybody's intelligence, but in no way do I feel that they are more intelligent than me. I don't feel that way. I'm not intimidated by nobody. I haven't seen any intelligence present that would intimidate me, is what I'm trying to say. So I'm respectful of everyone's intelligence because they are intelligent. Some of them are like, directors in companies and, or been in the military and they had a high rank and shit like that. So, just these are the kind of people. But when you really get around people and get to know them, you can really do an accurate assessment of who they are, and at the end of the day, most of the time, you're just going to see they're a regular person like you. That's what you're really going to see. But we're studying for a test, we're studying for a test. He gave us the questions. He didn't give us the answers. All right. So we formed a study group to study all the questions together as a think tank. And we were going along and pretty much, we were agreeing on a lot of the answers until we got to this one particular question. And I read it and I just instantly understood what it was saying. And everybody else in the group told me it was saying something else. And I'm saying, that's not what it's saying. That's not what it's saying. And sometimes you can let people talk you out of something that is the truth. And then they talk you out of it. That's that devil that's why they say it's on your shoulders. That's that motherfucker on your shoulder talking you out. Intuition is the quick realization of truth. That's why they say your first mind. That's what intuition means. Quick realization of truth. The lie usually follows after it. That's why when they say you have to learn how to trust yourself, that's what they're talking about. You got to learn how to trust your intuition. That's why older people can teach younger people shit, because we already went through the part where we didn't trust our intuition. Now when we mature as an adult, we've learned to trust our intuition. And this is what I'm telling you, motherfucker, because intuition is connected to truth. That's the hook for truth. That's how truth speaks to you. Anyway, we were going back and forth on the question, and I submitted to them under protest because we were one group and we wanted to be one united front. And so I was not going to violate that. I said, I'm gonna roll with y'all, but I don't agree. All right. So next day we take the test, we get the answers back, and our professor is going to go over the questions with us one by one. All right. So we go through them. When we get to that question, before he had a chance to tell us the right answer, I raised my hand and I said, I just want you to know that I did not think it was this how much it was in my chest that I felt like the answer was the right answer. This is how much I felt in my chest, that I wanted him to know that even though I marked my answer with all of my study buddies, that ain't the answer that I thought. And I told him what answer I thought it was. And he looked at me. He got real quiet, man. And this is like a class with a lot of smart people. And he looked at me. He got real quiet. He said, "You're right." He said, "Everybody else got it wrong." And you know what he did for me? He gave me credit for that question. He gave me, I got 100 on the test. He gave me credit for the question, for what I did. And I'll never forget him for that. It's a white man, white man too, it's a white man. And he really saw in me my tenacity, when I go after something, I just knew that wasn't the answer. I'm telling you this to say, some of the people you are listening to are not more intelligent than you. That goes for people in government. There's some dumb motherfuckers up there on Capitol Hill. There's a lot of you more intelligent than them people. All right, don't sit there. It's some people that you listen to in this space. You're listening to them right now and you're more intelligent than they are. And you're going to read something under their influence and then it's going to be wrong. So this is why you have to do your own due diligence and investigate the things that are told to you. You cannot believe what somebody's telling you. You cannot afford to do that. In particular, not in this space. You cannot agree. You just can't allow that to happen. You can't do that because you have to be responsible. You have to be accountable to yourself. And that is why you have to look it up for yourself. You got to be, especially if you're going to ever think about becoming some sort of sovereign. I'm not saying I have all the answers. In no way am I saying I have all the answers. I'm not even going to try to pretend like that. You got people out there who will. I don't care. Even Tahuti didn't know all the answers. When they asked him about the all, they asked him a question about the all. And he just stood silent. I forgot what it was. But it was just one of those questions that, that no one can really answer. Like, where does God come from? How long was God in existence before he thought about creating everything? How long was how long was God in existence before he thought about creating man? How long was he in existence? What was he just doing all that time, before he started, I'm going to create man? Just thought of that, You know what I'm saying? Thoughts like that, But anyway, let me get back to what I was talking about. Trust yourself. And when it come back to this information here, I see that I was talking about Jewish individuals, how everything always came back to the Jews. We were just reading this right here is the Jewish Shitar, all right, where the basis of the monetary system was created by them. They created it. That's why they're in control of the Federal Reserve. They've been in control of the money, all of the money. And so because money is their expertise, they developed a system that is surrounded by money, because that is how they allow themselves to control that system. They created a system of money, and they control the money, and it controls the system. So, you have to have good credit and pay your debts on time. They created a credit system to force you to pay your debts on time. That's why all your credit score is, a device utilized to influence you to pay everything on time. And I got to give it to them, a stroke of genius. I remember when the credit bureaus came into existence. Y'all remember Chilton before it was before it was Equifax, it was Chilton. Those are things that I think about. Now I'm like, damn, I remember that shit wasn't that important. When it first came out, I remember when you didn't have to have car insurance and shit. It was optional. Just shit. They just figure out ways to control you with money and then make you have to perform in it. The only way that you can escape that system is one of two ways. You can just get out of it, let it crush you, or a third way, learn how to use your mind. Because you learn how to use your mind, you can navigate it easily. It's easy to navigate, it's nothing. That's why they don't want you to know it. So, your mind is the weapon that you have to understand that you're going to have to utilize to play this game. It's a mind game. Life is a mind game. You're not escaping it, period. Life is a mind game. So learn constructive thought. I have to keep reiterating, your religions are instituted to help you learn how to use constructive thought. When you were taught to pray this way or pray at night before you go to bed, that's all scientific. When you pray right before you go to sleep, okay, the conscious mind is open and those prayers are going into the subconscious mind, directly into it. Okay, likewise, when you wake up, in Islam, they want you to pray 5 times a day. Okay, the repetition of this is ordering the mind. It's getting the mind to think in an ordered way. through habit, through repetition, which is one of the tools utilized to master just about anything is repetition. All right, so it's, what I'm saying? But all this repetition is the imprinting of the subconscious mind. Repetition is the imprinting of the subconscious mind. So now it's released from the conscious mind and it's on automatic pilot. And now the conscious mind is free to do other things. And it's just operating on automatic pilot. That's how people can make money in their sleep, because the subconscious is operating on automatic pilot. You can make money in your sleep. You don't have to be awake. Once it becomes a habit, once you have embodied that vibrational frequency, and you stay at that vibrational frequency, cause and effect is going to make sure you keep getting the same effect over and over and over again. And that's another thing about, being an entrepreneur. I'll talk about that for a second. Being an entrepreneur, you're not an entrepreneur until you've passed through the veil of a need for a job. You got this feeling that your job is your security blanket. Until you can sever that, you can never truly be an entrepreneur. You can't truly be an entrepreneur. You got to sever that. And you can't have no backup plan. You can never be an entrepreneur with a backup plan. It's got to be a goal. It's like get rich or die trying. It got to be something, this one thing I do, I'm going to do it or I'm going to die. It got to be that. If it's not that right there, you can't do it. You can't have a backup. If you got a backup plan, you're planning to fail. That's why you got a backup plan, because you're planning to fail. All right, so whatever it is that you're going to do in life, you got to make that decision to just do it. And that's why you got to be your purpose, because when you're doing your purpose, you're going to keep going because it's your purpose. You're going to keep going. You're like, this is what I was born to do. I'm going to do it. I can't go wrong. You can't go wrong doing what you were born to do. You can't go wrong doing what you were born to do. You can't go wrong. All right, you find your purpose and live it to the extreme. And don't let people talk you out of things. And be responsible for yourself. Do your own due diligence. Those are very important qualities to have, especially with what's coming. You're going to have to develop those habits to a high level because, they're steadily marching society toward a hellish road of depravity. They're trying to put us on depravity, That's how this devil's in control of everything. They're trying to take everybody to hell, and they're trying to bring in chaos so they can make their own order. Chaos means destroy. To make a new world order, that means the old world have to be destroyed. So they're going to completely destroy it. They're going to make it where you wouldn't even want to go back to it. They're going to make it where what they're offering look better. It looks better to have what they're offering. That's what they're going to do. When that's not how our country was put together. This is a free country. Freedom is very, very important. A person that's never been locked up before doesn't appreciate fully the privilege of freedom. And I say privilege because it's really a privilege you being here. Because it was 777 million sperm that swam with your ass. And you made it. You know what I'm saying? So you here alive. May you continue to live long, healthy, and abundant life as a 20-year-old. You have inspired me in so many ways, more than one. You've inspired me to be the best version of myself. Malia J., I appreciate that. I appreciate that. That's what I want to do, inspire you. Because I was inspired at an early age. I don't know why, man. I don't know why I took an interest in certain books, like Ralph Waldo Emerson. No, he didn't write that. As a Man Thinketh. What was my man, the author, As a Man Thinketh? Henry, no, I'm not Henry Thoreau. James Allen. James Allen. James Allen wrote As a Man Thinketh. And he went out into the woods and spent time by himself in meditation. But what they don't tell you is that the biggest thing he did was he did NoFap. Okay, and that's something else I want to do a class on. Like when you see that phallic worship, that phallic worship wasn't a debased thing. Or you see those statues, they showing the kings with their erection out. That wasn't a debased thing or something that was deplorable. That was their way of showing the reason they're a king is because they got so much power in them. All right, because when you don't release your semen, if you retain it, it's what makes you a Superman. It's what makes you into a Superman. It's what increases your intelligence. All right, when you learn how to do sexual transmutation. So they're showing that they've retained their vital energy to a very high degree. That's why it says in the Bible, do not give your strength to women, that which can ruin kings. It's saying do not ejaculate in them. You're not supposed to be busting all these nuts the way that they've been teaching us to do. That's why they put all this pornography. Look who owns the porno industry, and who owns Pornhub. All right, look, there's a reason all that is out there. All right, they want you expending vital energy. They're not going to subject themselves to that influence, but they're subjecting it to you. They're putting it in your music depravity. They're acclimating you to, low vibrational activities, And, we got to understand that if you're going to be a king, okay, you have to protect your vital energy. And you got to understand the importance of it. And that's something that is not taught to us. Okay, that's not taught to us at a young age. The importance of retaining. We're being taught, to be a man, you need to go out and sow your seed everywhere. You need to be very selective of who you ejaculate in. It should only be special women who get that privilege, not just any woman. It should be only special women to get the privilege of you ejaculating in them. You know what I'm saying? You just don't do that in everybody. I was already like that anyway, because I wasn't going to have no baby just by anybody. But, it's like, still, some dudes do that. It's amazing the lack of control you see some men have. It's on the level of a beast. And that's why the lowest level is the beast man level. They operate at the beast man level. They have no self-control. That's the beast man level. The God level is when you got total self-control. And they don't have no control of themselves. They act like beasts, animalistic behavior. I've seen it, and I be ashamed about it sometimes when I see it. I can't believe a man would, be so degenerate. I just wouldn't think. It just hurts me to see that. If any of our people do that. But they've been able to get the minds of a lot of our people, especially through rap music. And it's hard for me to go against rap music because I was brought up in rap music. And I love rap music, but to see what it's become and to see the influence, how they're utilizing it more and more and more. They've learned so much of what it can do as far as influencing our people. They just look at what they're doing. They just went just take it down. They're just trying to see how low they can go. They just got Sukiyana and the Sexy Red. They bringing people like that in now. How low can we go? They're going to keep on going, too. It's just going to get more and more depraved, more and more depraved. It's just going to get more and more depraved. And that's what they want, because that's how people are going to ask for a better world, and they're going to be ready to accept anything that's offered to them. That's what the New World Order is going to be, something that you are willing to accept. You're going to be like a beggar who can't be choosy. That's what it's going to be. Hey, y'all need to watch the movie The Creator. The Creator, watch that movie. It's on AI, and it's giving you a message from the future, who the God is going to be, who God is going to be in the future. Like he just said, AI is God. See that movie, The Creator. The Creator. I just watched it. That was an excellent movie. That's one of the best movies I've seen lately, The Creator. That was a good-ass movie. That was a good-ass movie. That was a good movie. That was a good movie, man. It had a good message in it. Good special effects, too. I enjoyed the special effects. They put some, it was good for special effects. It was nice. Peace, 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 God. Drill music sending the youth to the feds. It is. Let's get to this All right, let me do a video review because I just been running my mouth, just talking about some things, and I was trying to give you the background of all of this information because the Jews are they underline they the controllers. I'm just gonna say it for what it is. They the controllers of society. They control your government. That's why they spent an hour on the debate talking about Israel. You know, they occupy most of the offices of government, the important offices. They have dual citizenships with those. I can show you this. I can show you what I'm saying. You know, they the controllers of society. They got the news media. And, you know, people, the reason this has to be said, and they don't want it to be said, that's why they'll start saying that you're anti-Semitic and things like that, because they don't want that being said, because when you know that and you can clearly see who's in control, then you can start thinking with accuracy, because you make a lot of judgments through erroneous conclusions because you don't understand the root of something. You know, you got to understand the root of it. And you come to an erroneous conclusion about something. I'll give you another illustration. This comes out of Stephen Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I always love this illustration. He says there was a man on a bus, and he had 2 children with him. And his children were unruly. They were running around the bus, you know, disturbing the other passengers. And finally, one of the passengers who got tired, you know, were looking at him and said, you know, you must be a bad parent. You know, start thinking this. He's a bad parent because he's just sitting there while his children are all running around and being disruptive to the other passengers. And they were looking at him and starting to judge his character as a result of that. So finally, one of them touched him, you know, and got him out of his stupor. And he told him, he said, look, he said, your children are being disruptive. And he said, oh, he said, I'm sorry. He said, we just came from the hospital. Their mother just died. This must be how they're acting out. Now, immediately you get a different perception of what's going on. You know, that's called a paradigm shift. You know, you have a paradigm shift. And what they don't want you to have is a paradigm shift in life and start perceiving things as it really is. Right now, you're living in a matrix and you don't know who the controllers are of it. And then until you accept who the controllers are of it, then you can see beyond it. You can see beyond it. It should be insulting to allow anyone to control you. As a man, in particular as a man, because the masculine is the active principle. You know, you don't want, you're supposed to be in control of yourself. You know, to be a god is anything or anyone who's in control. So you have to, and that's why they don't want you doing ego, but you need the ego. You have to have the arrogancy of a god. To be a god, you got to be arrogant. You got to know I'm over everything. It ain't no being humble. I can do a little. It's like, no, I am the master of everything. I'm the master of everything around me that has to do with me and my life. I don't know about your life. I'm not the master of everything in creation. I'm the master of me and everything that has to do with my life. I'm the center of my universe. The universe is boundless. I'm the center of it. Everything revolves around me because I got control of everything. That'll teach you that's not being arrogant. That's constructive thought. That's taking control. That's accepting responsibility. That's taking accountability. It's all those things. All right, let's get the likes up. I appreciate that. Oh, I appreciate the donations, man. The donations coming in. I wasn't paying attention. I appreciate that. Let me get Kusupo Media. Boy, y'all having some names. I appreciate the fine bones. Irene Hernandez, $12. So thank you very much. Lovely name. Big L, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Thomas Gill, appreciate you. Thanks for what you're doing. Gracias, man. You know what I've always had, man? I've always had a lot of Hispanic listeners. I've always thought that, even though I have a very, diverse audience, and I try to, I'm always aware of that. Even when I'm talking crazy, like in some hood shit, I'm very aware that I have a very diverse audience. And I know y'all going to enjoy it, though. Y'all be listening to me do the hood shit. But I have a lot of Hispanic listeners, white listeners, black listeners, Africans, people in other countries. It's interesting. I do that, and I appreciate that, that I have such a wide appeal. I like that. I appreciate that. I just want y'all to know that. All right, and thank you. Peace. Let's get to the let's get to some videos, man. Let me see if I can pop in a cassette. And get something popping. Let me see. Oh, no, I'm not supposed to do that. I'm supposed to put, let me kill this. Oh, yeah. Hold on. I got it, y'all. Hold on. Where is that? Yeah, right here. What I wanted to talk about, I wanted to talk about this too. I wanted to talk about me and cough. Let me speak on that for a quick second. And I have to be careful when I talk about subjects like this, because this book has been demonized, to a very, very bad extent. All right. This is one of those situations where I chose to trust my own intelligence and investigate something for myself and not take, somebody else's interpretation of something as the gospel. All right, so I went and looked at the book, and I didn't get my first impression of reading it is I don't get no energy of hatred. I don't get no energy of hatred in his words, this is a hateful book and blah, blah, blah. They say that, but when I'm reading it, I hear an honest person, an honest person. He's like, he tells his backstory, where he was born, how his parents were to him, his dreams in life, what he wanted to be. He wanted to be an artist, all these different things. And even when he first came into encounter with the Jews, which he was like a country boy. He went to the city of, it was an Italian city. I can't remember it right now. But it was in a German province. But when he went, it's like he went to the big city and saw him for the first time, like going to New York and you've never been around Jews. You lived in the country and you've never been around them, and then you move to New York and now you see a whole bunch of them everywhere. Now you're interacting with them on a daily basis. Well, that was his first encounter with the Jews. He went to a big city and he started seeing them. He didn't understand. He started paying attention to the newspapers. And then, there was some kind of people who were anti-Semitic, and then there were people who were railing against them in the media. So at first he didn't know what to make of it. And as a matter of fact, first he was on the side of the Jews at first for, them railing, like, why are these people attacking you like this kind of thing? They shouldn't be attacking you like this. But then after he started examining things and began to see who was in control, he saw who was in control of the media, and control of a lot of different things and their stance on things. He started studying it. Then he did he said, wait a minute, these people are actually going against my people, because he was German, so he was like, these people are going against my people. So, but it wasn't readily apparent to everyone. It wasn't readily apparent to everyone that was what was going on. Kind of like today, doing the exact same thing today. You really can't see what's really going on because you're allowing yourself to be too easily influenced by the media. You can't allow the media to influence you at all. You got to make decisions for yourself based off of research if you've conducted. That's the only thing you guide yourself by. You guide yourself by that. You can't just believe what somebody's telling you. And so I further kept reading it. When he started being able to perceive things And then, of course, he was in World War I, and that's a story in and of itself. What happened with World War I, how Palestine was taken from the Palestinians. And in 1948, the State of Israel was formed. That was the result of the Balfour Declaration, which is a result of World War I, when Great Britain and France attacked Germany without provocation, simply based off of the fact that Germany had a strong economy and Britain had based their economy on speculation, just like the United States does today. Everything is about the stock market. All right. So they were, France and Great Britain, they were playing the markets. Everybody was getting rich that way, but they didn't have anything of substance. They weren't manufacturing anything. That's what gives your country substance. That's what's going to make America great again. When we bring a manufacturing back to the United States instead of taking it and letting foreigners do it for us. We got to bring that back. You're getting pimped out. That's pimping out. That's really laziness. And that's really greed too. There should be laws, I think, that could be implemented that wouldn't allow a person to sell his products in a country if he didn't do the manufacturing in that country. I could see that. That could be a rule added to the commerce game. Been riding with you since old days. Cheers, bro. I appreciate that, Clinton Morris. So when you read the story, you begin, and then you'll see how it parallels with today. That's what you got to look at next. Like, you'll be reading and you'll be like, damn, this is the same shit that's going on today. You know, that's what's going to strike you first. That's why they don't want you reading it, because you're going to be able to see like, damn, this is the same stuff that's going on right now. But this is the same, they was doing that shit 50 years ago. Now you begin to see how it's been like a consistent plan that's been, and it comes under many forms. They call it liberal, you know, the Liberal Party, you know, things like that. These words are all synonymous with something else. They all devolve down into like communism is what it is. And, you know, so the elimination of private property. And you get to see how their scheme is going to come together. You see how it's being played out. You can see it clearly. And it only works because the majority of people are in darkness. They have the majority. It doesn't matter if they don't care. If they got 350 million and 200,000 wake up, they don't care. And like, okay, 200,000 of y'all woke up. We still got 350 million, you know, so what? You know, that's how they thinking, you know what I'm saying? And that's why our job is like, damn, this is a tough job trying to wake up people. I'm trying to wake up 350 million people. I got 400 people on the live. You know, it's like, what? That's not, you got a heavy job ahead of you. You have to become very well renowned. And then you got to be very careful when that happens, because you definitely got to watch what you say when you become a worldwide influence. Just look at what happened to Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate, I ain't gonna lie, I ain't seen nothing like him. I've never seen anyone get a world influence like that. He definitely was an example to them of the dangers of the internet. And I don't see it happening again. They're gonna make sure nothing like that happens again. Ain't gonna be nobody gonna rise to prominence and have that much influence, especially over young males. However you feel about it, it doesn't matter how you feel about it, but it was a major influence. I'd never seen anything like that. They're gonna ride off of every word you say, because you got too much influence. And that's what the world is about today, influence. Let's get it. Says, bro, you remind me of Uncle I always wanted. You really make me feel great to be a better man. Truth, regardless of how it comes out of a prophet's mouth, is still the truth. Applicable knowledge. I appreciate that, bro. Appreciate that. I appreciate that. Tony 2 times. I like that. Tony 2 times. That's some real hood shit. All right, let's let me find this damn let me find it. Let me find it's supposed to be reviewing some shit. Supposed to be reviewing. Oh man. Oh yeah, I got it queued up. Okay. Yeah, let me cue this up. Okay, I'm gonna review this other video now, because I
I think y'all understand what I was trying. I hope y'all understand what I was trying to say. Okay, that's it right here. All right, let me do a video review. This right here ought to be interesting. I've been rolling today, haven't I? Hey, how long I've been on? I've been rolling today. I've been talking. That was on my heart to talk about. But I'm gonna go and give y'all a review of this video right here. I thought this was a good video too. I like in this video, he's very calm, he's articulate, he's confident. You know, when I show you videos, don't let the devils, oh, well, he didn't win. I'm not gonna show you a video all the time where people win all the time. That's not what I'm trying to get you to get from the video. What I'm trying to get you are the positive things about it, like somebody's demeanor in court, you know, their confidence that they demonstrated as a result of having done their research and they know what they're talking about, you know, how that looks as opposed to somebody who's just reading something off of a piece of paper. That's why I show you videos like this, because I'm impressed with the individual, even if he didn't win. I'm still impressed of what he knew. I might even be able to see sometimes where he went wrong. But I can't be judgmental because hell, same thing has happened to me. You know what I'm saying? I ain't winning court. I ain't 100-0 or something like that. I ain't never did that either. You know, it's like I had to learn like everybody had to learn too. I had to get my ass kicked and go through some shit. Everybody's gonna go through it. You're not gonna. Sometimes you can start off with a win, like I did. I started off with a win, you know, and then went through a series of losses, you know, and stuff. So it's like. That's how it was for me. It's like my head was real pumped up at one point. And but you can't let your head get pumped up because there are too many different variations of things out there for you to be successful 100% of the time. It's just not gonna happen. I don't see it like that. I don't see it like that. But anyway, let's review this real quick.
Right now, immediately.
I appreciate that you are trying to make a statement and you want to wear your hats, but in the courtroom, hats are not allowed. You may disagree with that. I'm not going to argue with you about it, but they're coming off or you can leave.
That's a law.
Do you want to take it off or you're going to leave?
I don't have a hat on. I was just wondering if it was a
That's
law.
fine. Are they coming off, sir?
May I?
No, you can't. Are they coming off?
I just.
Then find them in contempt.
If it's hats today, what is it tomorrow?
Why is there a ban on
I'm not going to jail for that again right now, but.
That's fine. I'm not trying to.
Well, you're gonna take your hat off
You
or
can make your
going
statements
downstairs?
any way you want, but I'm not here today to
Where you
debate
gonna
the
leave?
movement
You
of
got your
debate
choice.
whether you can wear a hat or not. The term of all courtrooms are no hats.
You could,
I've been
So
in
you
courtrooms
can
that
be
are
here with a hat on.
any business?
Okay, this is some of the sovereign citizen shit I don't like. Okay, first of all, you're in a courtroom, whether it's an administrative court or a common law court, it's still a court. I don't make no distinction in the kind of court when it comes to decorum, respect, civility. Okay, it doesn't matter what kind of court you're in. You should always demonstrate those characteristics, and you should always come appropriately dressed, if you can. You should always come appropriately dressed. Respect is universal, and you have to give respect if you want to have respect given to you. So don't disrespect the court. Don't come into the court wearing hats and shit. You know, I understand this. I understand that when the judge gives you an order sometimes that's interpreted as him trying to seize some sort of type of jurisdiction over you. That's what the traditional patriot school has taught, that, just by following their orders, they are getting jurisdiction over you. All right, telling you to sit down, stand up, stand right here, do all that kind of stuff, which there is some truth to that. There is some truth to that. But you got to learn how to be preventive of that by not letting him ask you any questions in the first place. Just don't come in with a hat. Don't do anything that's going to create a confrontation like that. Don't give him the opportunity to demonstrate on the record whether he has asserted any type of dominance over you or not, by being respectful and observant of all the court rules and so forth. We shouldn't have to see videos like this. You shouldn't have to see videos or going back and forth with the judge about taking off a motherfucking hat. That's just going to make other people, where do we rank him on the scale? Where do we rank that person on that? That's what I want you to think. When you get into some activity, where does it work on the scale? Am I a beast? Some kind of mankind of a man or human being, supreme being, or God? Where does that activity rank on that scale? You're going to be a God, you take accountability for everything. You're not there to get into a debate. You're there to reach an agreement of the parties. You're not there for controversy at all. You're never there for controversy. Stay in honor at all cost is one of the rules. Stay in honor at all cost. At all cost. And there's a lot of ways to be dishonorable, a lot. And they're going to make sure they present a couple of them to you. Let's keep going.
Why is that? Why can't there be
This is none of our business right now. What
If the
you guys
rights
are
of
doing.
one are violated, the rights of us all, if we sit by silently while it happens.
You guys don't have to do it, we just go on the court.
You just pointed at me.
You can
And
ignore him.
Mr. Tebow, just arrest him, just take him downstairs.
Okay.
But
Go
take it
downstairs.
easy. Why is this one down? Why are hats banned from courtrooms?
You've allowed them before.
Let's be inconsistent.
I'm not trying to be inconsistent. I've tried to treat you all with respect and be totally.
I don't think that's what you're doing.
Sir, why don't you sit down or leave?
I was just asking.
It's not respectful to take people away for simply wearing clothing.
I think he's removed his hat.
Would you
so-
take off your dress, please? Well,
Let me also say that if there's any more comments from the gallery, I will have you removed. I'm not trying to be difficult with you, but this is a court that requires some decorum and respect, whether you agree with it or not.
Sure, but
That's
you addressed that.
That's how this court's going to be run. There are no questions from any of you. If you don't like that, you can leave. But if you make any noise, I'm going to have you removed. I'm trying to give you a warning for that, and I expect you to adhere to it. And if you don't want to, either leave or go downstairs.
just seeking clarification.
So, back to the matter at hand, I've got the...
And Mr. Bernard, when you address the court, you need to stand.
I will
You need
do
to
so.
stand, Mr. Bernard, if you're going to address the court.
I will do so under duress. I'm a Quaker, and I don't believe that men are
You're entitled to your beliefs, but you're in a system now that requires you to stand.
This right here is one of those examples of, is he exercising some sort of jurisdiction over you by telling you to stand? This is a big question, a question of contention. And yes, it can be interpreted as him doing that. The firmness of how he's speaking, the very serious tone is kind of like, kind of like putting you under a spell too of who's in authority. And you're there to be respectful, but you're not there to be subject, some sort of subject to someone, subjected to someone. All are equal under the law. All men, God created all men equal. All right. We're not there to be dominant. We in our country, we're a country of sovereigns. So we're all respectful to one another. So that's how I want to be addressed in the courtroom. If you're in the public listening to me, that's how I want to be addressed. I want to be addressed as someone, not like a child in a child state or talked down to. Always being taught like I'm expected to always demonstrate certain characteristics that are becoming of a sovereign. Now, I know a lot of people don't demonstrate those characteristics, you know, a lot, and that's intentional too. But on this channel, we want to demonstrate those characteristics. And then that way, we have an expectation of when we go into the courtroom of receiving a certain kind of treatment. But you have to be that what you wish to become. You have to be that what you wish to become.
I'm not trying to make your life difficult.
Just so you know, I don't consent to it. So regarding our discussion earlier about the name change, I do have that notice here with Supreme Court reference for your request.
That's fine. Why don't you provide it to the state and then I'll take a look at it?
I give one to John Webb and one for you.
Specifically, what are you pointing to, Mr. Canal?
Well, now I don't have it in front of me, but
You need to stand, Mr. Bernard.
so clearly there's a Supreme Court reference here, Moskowitz versus Moskowitz, where it's made pretty clear, and it's even actually cited in a Social Security document, which I also cite with a link to their website where I pulled that from, where the New Hampshire Supreme Court has made clear that you don't have to go through a probate court in order to lawfully change one's name at will. And I have been using the name Ian Freeman for an extended period of time. A similar notice was delivered to the City of Keene as well as District Court in 2010. And I use this name, public persona, I use this name, this is my name. And there's also evidence attached there from Concord District Court, where Concord District Court is using that name as well.
I will certainly take it under advisement, and I will research the case that you had suggested, but for purposes of today's hearing, I probably will continue to refer to you as a Bernard without intending any disrespect.
Okay.
Do you hold a driver's license
Not this time.
in any state?
I do, it's not with me. It's not here.
Whose name is it in?
That is still under the old name. That
You need to talk to him, you need to stand, Mr. Bernard.
I didn't have to stand last time.
And I think I've been overly permissive, and I think it's going to change, which is why.
That right there was a good example of how you said you have a driver's license. See that question right there? That's when I see that they own some. They out to get you. They when they start asking you questions like that, they say, okay, you want to play chess? I'm gonna play chess with you. Let's see how sharp you are. So they hit you with a question. You got a driver's license. How do you answer that? Are you gonna lie and say you don't have one? Or you know what? What is it? You know, that's what they looking at. They can see very clearly that you do have one. They know you have one, okay? They know you've been issued one. I ask you that question, what you gonna say? Well, if you say yeah, well, nigga, what you talking about? We hear about that matter. That driver's license is a contract. You subjected yourself to the terms of that contract. And in equity is about the brutal enforcement of contract. Equity brutally enforces contracts. Brutally enforces contracts. So, you know, a lot of people, they don't respect contracts, especially married people. You know, they don't understand that, you know, when you get divorced, there's still some attachment there, as well as the fact that you just incurred a karmic debt, just some sort of karmic debt for violating an oath you took. You had a contract. You agreed to something better or worse, you know, and you put God's name on it. And let me tell you about something swearing to God. You ain't really supposed to swear to God, because in the Bible, it tells you don't swear to God. So, but my next point about bringing up into this court proceeding is that I didn't really see if he was sworn in, because the judge doesn't have to listen to nothing he's saying, because it's all unsworn testimony.
So one of the biggest tricks they do is let you come into the court and just start talking and you're not even sworn in. The only evidence that can be presented at court for any consideration from the judge, to take is something that is facts. Facts are usually stipulated to between the parties. But you need to have something sworn to. What, you got some sworn testimony? You got some notarized documents. You know what? You're going to take the stand and let us swear you in? You know what? Whereas, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of times that's what we do. You don't have anything sworn to under penalty of perjury that you presented to the court. Where's your evidence of what you're talking about? Even if you can come in here claiming that I don't have jurisdiction over you because you're a Moor or something like that, where's your evidence to substantiate that? Do you know what evidence is? What constitutes evidence? Do you know what that is? These are questions that you have to ask yourself if you're going to play this game. If you're going to play this game with these people, these people know all that shit. That's just fundamental shit. They can toy with you if you don't know that. That's the basics of the game. They go to law school to learn how to play the game. When they get out here and start playing it, they learn a whole bunch of additional shit, a whole bunch of other shit. They just learn the basics in college. So, but, everything operates procedurally because there is a, cause and effect associated with everything in creation. So that makes sense. So let's keep watching. But I just want you to be aware of that and what the things that he's saying. Does it have any, is it going to have any effect?
Indicated to you all today that from now on I'm going to treat this differently. Do you have a Social Security card?
I do not.
Any legal documents in the name of our agreement?
There are a few court documents, and one is attached to the notice.
Other than court documents?
I'm not sure what you would consider a legal document. So I don't know what that means.
See, you ask him, did he have a Social Security number? He hitting him with them questions. How are you going to answer it? I would try to do some sort of negative veerment or some sort of affirmative defense or something. Something to the effect, I'm not in possession of any evidence that a driver's license has been issued in my name. Maybe something like that, where you ain't answering the question. Because the burden of proof is on he who asserts, not he who denies. It's not up to you to make the case for them. They have to make their own case. So, don't give them nothing. I'm not going to give them anything. But, that's that chess game that they playing. And I also saw in the comment section, somebody talking about they ain't lost chess in 18 years. Wait a minute, let me read this to y'all. What are you talking about, man? He said he ain't lost a game in 18 years. I don't believe you. He said you undefeated for how long? Oh, there it is right there. What did he say? He said, Yusef, I know you get offers, but I am undefeated in chess for 18 years. I do challenge you, sir, to a gentleman's game, probably only good game I'll get. You know what? I'll take you up on that. I'm not saying I'm the greatest ever. There are people who can beat me, and I give respect to the chess players that are better than me. I run into them all the time. I've run into female chess players that are better than me. I can admit that. Only one. I've only ran into one. It was in California. I ran into a female, and she didn't beat me in the slow game. She beat me on the clock, using the clock. And that's because she played on it all the time, and I don't never play on it. I'm not used to that. But I still got a chance to gauge her mind. That's what chess allows you to do, is you can gauge a person's mental capacity by playing a game of chess. Pool is like that too. And though I haven't gotten into it, but just a small taste of it and what I saw and trying to learn it, golf too. Golf is like chess. That's like a form of chess. It's like a mixture of chess and it's really like pool.
It's really like pool, you know, because you got English on the ball, you know, and all kind of stuff. You know, it's really like pool, like, but it's a cold-blooded game, golf. You know, once you really understand it, it's a cold game. But when you learn it, now you enjoy watching it on television and shit. You know, if you didn't understand it, you don't enjoy watching. When I was little, I didn't like watching it. I was like, golf. Now I'm older, I'm like, I'll watch some golf. I'm like, yeah, I accept your offer. We have to schedule that. We have to schedule that. Maybe we can do it on the internet or something like that. Let's see. Why are there seats if you have to stand to address the court? Okay, let's get back to the video. I'm tripping.
Okay, why don't we move on to your motion? Why don't we move on to a hearing on your motion, which brings you here today?
Yeah, do you want me to speak to that? Okay.
And specifically, this is a motion to dismiss in both dockets 2010 S0915 and 916.
Well, you had
Which
already
are
ruled
appeals from
on,
the district court for lack of speedy trial, is that correct?
yeah, you had already ruled on that motion. I wanted to make sure we had the hearing, which according to court rules must be held if something hasn't happened in 6 months on a misdemeanor and 9 months on a felony, if I'm not mistaken on that. That's cited here in my original motion to dismiss. When I put in the District Court Rule 2.14 notice to demand to skip district court, I did not go to trial there, skip district court and go straight to a jury trial on this matter. That was back in November, and I'm sure I've got the date in here somewhere. But anyway, it was in November, and apparently it took the district court quite a while to even just send the paperwork over here. I checked after the first week, figuring it wouldn't take a week to get paperwork across the street, but apparently it hadn't even come here in a week's time. At that point, I figured, I've got other things to do. I, run my own business, and I got busy with my life at that point. Figured
I got to be truthful with this because I like this young man, but this is unbecoming of a sovereign or a creditor looking for excuses to get out of something. It's just unbecoming. A creditor always pays his debts. Anybody ever see Game of Thrones and the Lannisters? And their motto was, a Lannister always pays his debt. That was their nobility. That is just the height of being honorable, an honorable individual. When you go to court, it's a debt game. The reason I spend so much time at the offset talking about the Jews wasn't trying to disparage them or anything, but it was to make you understand the nature of the system because of the people who are in control of the system. The system is not bad itself, it's the people who are in control of it. And I'm not saying that the people in control are bad, but if it's a system that you don't like and you want to change it to something that you think is better, then you need to understand how to take the appropriate steps to do that. And the first is by removing your attention from what they are doing and then putting your attention on what it is that you want. That's the first step in constructive thought and making everything switch. Everything ain't switching no other way. See, when they keep making you think there's a God outside of you, they keep making you think you have to wait on something to happen. You're waiting for somebody to show up and save you when the helping hand is that you're looking for is at the end of your arm. The helping hand you're looking for is at the end of your arm. You need to learn how to use it. You got the power. And this is unbecoming because the nature of the system is commercial. It's creditor and debtor. Everything that they do in this system is dealing with those two positions. Who's the creditor and who's the debtor? That's the game. That's the commerce game. In all situations, there's a creditor and a debtor. And that's how it has to be in a system where there is no money when we're using debt-based currency. We're using debt currency as money. So that stands to reason all the participants on the board game are either creditors and debtors. And what is the position that you're going to choose to play? And when you choose to play that position, how do you conduct yourself once you occupy that position? If you understand that this is a commerce game, it's a game of creditors and debtors, and that you are the creditor, how do you conduct yourself? You know, it's like, hey, look, you know, I accept for value, return for value, all the charge and instruments in this matter, and make my exemption as principal available for discharge of all obligations and charges connected with this case. I'm not going to dispute any of the facts in the charge and instrument, Your Honor. Please use my exemption for offset and adjustment of the public charges against the defendant and release the order of the court to me immediately. You know, it's just, that's what you're doing. You're there to get an agreement. You're not there to get into any controversy. Controversy is deadly. Controversy is the domain of attorneys, and you better respect their domain because they have went to law. I respect that they went to law school. I respect that they've learned how to argue a case. I respect that. That is a profession. That takes a high degree of skill. You have to respect that. You have to respect that. That's not our domain anyway. That's in the public. The definition of a public figure, one of them is either you reach renown or you voluntarily participate in a public controversy. You can read it in Black's Law Dictionary right now. So now you're in the public. The controversy, we want to go in there with the facts already agreed to. That's why you do an administrative process. It's not to go in and argue different points and things like that. These are called off-point arguments because it doesn't address the issue. The issue is the national debt. That's the issue. That's the issue. It's the national debt. That's the issue. It just never talked about like that. It's just operating in the background and everybody just kind of ignoring it. It's been talked, everybody knows about it, but they're just ignoring it. They don't understand that it permeates all through their society. All through their society.
Okay, well, when the Superior Court gets the documents, inevitably they're going to select a court date and they're going to send me notice. So I'll find out whenever it is that they get this figured out. I didn't hear from this court for over 6 months. It took forever to even get the first notice out of this court. Clearly, as evidenced by you guys shutting down for the furlough days, clearly this court is loaded with cases. And I understand that John Webb here is a busy guy. He's got a lot of things on his plate. It seems to me to be a clear violation of the supposed right to a speedy trial. For the benefit of the taxpayers, I would like to see both of these matters dismissed for lack of a speedy trial, and that way none of these jurors have their time wasted. John Webb can get back to more important matters, actually dealing with real criminals who've actually harmed people. I think that would be the right choice for you to make.
Anything else?
Well, I could address some of, I guess he's going to be able to speak next because he's got some points that he made in his objection. I'd be happy to address some of those points. I'm not sure how this hearing is going to
If you want to do, you can wait for Attorney Webb to make his comments, or you can address his comment, what you anticipate to be his comments based on his plea.
As long as I can speak after he's done, I'd be happy to wait and see what he has to say.
Want to rest in your opinion, Attorney Webb?
I do, Your Honor. Thank you.
Anything you wish to add to it?
Unless the court has any questions, I think the record, in terms of the times, pretty much speaks for itself. December 17.
Okay. I wanted to show y'all something what he said in this video where he messed up. And it looked like it took the damn video off, but man, I messed up and didn't remove the video by accident. But let me just say this to you. He made a vital error. Because first of all, he's talking about getting the case dismissed for lack of speedy trial. This is an example of somebody that is talking very intelligently but doesn't know what they're doing. And, he has good presentation, but he doesn't know what he's doing. And he's using some excuse about he's not citing any type of statutory authority, which is what they recognize for that dismissal. Speedy trial goes off of, what is it called? It's called it's a certain period where they convene the grand jury. Okay, and let me see if I can pull it up and show you what I'm talking about. They go by act. Unfortunately, yes, they do. They go by an act. So they want to know what act are you citing to get them that's going to compel them to dismiss your case for lack of speedy trial, even though speedy trial protection is in the Constitution under the Sixth Amendment. They do have a statutory equivalent of that. They enacted a statute to govern that in an administrative court. And that is what you have to provide them with if you want to get it dismissed. All right? You can only talk to a fiction in fiction terms. You can't use common law in a venue that is for fictions. But you can use the principles that are in the common law because all the law operates off the same set of principles. That's kind of like the skill, I think. I think I'm wording that in a way that you kind of get. That's how you get matters taken care of. So you may end up directing them to a statute, because statutes are for them to follow. And so, but you're not trying to get a benefit from it or anything because you're going to make a demand. It's a demand, it's a demand for dismissal. It's not a request for a dismissal. You do a demand for speedy trial and a demand for dismissal if they don't give you a speedy trial. But it's called terms of court. So just came to my mind. So speedy trial is based off terms of court, at least here in Georgia. I'm going to show you how it is in Georgia, meaning that, and this is very important because speedy trial can be used as a chess move, You should always have it in your pocket. All right, let's say they don't have no evidence against you whatsoever, and no witnesses or anything like that, but they're holding you in jail anyway, because they will do that. They will just hold you in jail. Don't have no evidence, no witnesses ready to come against you or nothing, but gonna hold you in there until you get ready to plea out just so you can get out. All right, so they're doing that to you. All right. So the speedy trial is to get them to get a shit or get off the toilet. That's what speedy trial is. It constrains them to a time limit. It puts them on the clock when you do a demand for speedy trial. If you don't put them on the clock, they'll just let something languish as long as they can. They don't give a fuck. You the one sitting in jail. They don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck if it's sitting on the books. But you're the one that's allowing it to languish because you do have a constitutional protection, and that is a demand for a speedy trial. Now, when you put that demand in, it operates, at least here in Georgia, off of what are called terms. So let me see if I can find it real quick and show you what I'm talking about. All right, so, oops. Let me put y'all on. Oh, no, I got on the wrong one. I'm learning how to use this thing, forgive me. But anyway, this is like here in Georgia, this is the first thing you want to study are the terms of court. and the terms of court go by county here in Georgia. So, you have, the Alpha Circuit, the Alcovey Circuit, such and such and such and such, and then you get down, it tells their terms right here. Elbert County, 3rd Monday in January and 4th Monday in July. The terms of court are the time limits they use in certain counties to determine what's a speedy trial. And in Georgia, they got 2 terms of court to bring you to trial. So I'll give you an example. Let's say like in a place like the more population that they have in a county, the shorter the term of court. So if you're in a place that ain't got a lot of people, your terms of court may be every 6 months. So that means they have a year to take you to trial if it's 2 terms. Whereas in a place that have a lot of population, it might be 2 months. Or 4 months, because it's 2 months a term. So they got 2 months a term. They got 4 months to take you to trial. After that second term is expired, it's mandatory that they dismiss the case. That's how speedy trial works. And that's how you put them on a time clock. You put them on a clock. You got to put them on the clock, and you got to use their instructions to do it. That's what you look at as a statute. A statute is their instructions, because they are like trustees. And so right here you see Jones County, 1st Monday in February and August, and 3rd Monday in April and October. So this got 4 months right here. There's 2 terms. I think that's how you read it. I forgot. But that's how you determine their terms of court. So then you go to their speedy trial. And demand, look at it called demand for speedy trial, 1770-170, demand for speedy trial, service, discharge, and acquittal for lack of prosecution, expiration, reversal of appeal, a direct appeal, mistrial and retrial, special pleas of incompetency. Any defendant against whom a true bill of indictment or an accusation is filed with the clerk for an offense not affecting the defendant's life may enter a demand for a speedy trial at the court term at which the indictment or accusation is filed, or at the next succeeding regular court term thereafter, or by special permission of the court. Okay, so they got 2 terms. So let's say like they got 2 terms. A term is January, February, and then the next term is March, April. Okay, so that's 2 terms. So let's say you get indicted January 31st. Okay, then you file your demand for speedy trial February 15th. You did it inside that term. So now it doesn't matter, it's the 15th. They got to the end of February, and then the next term starts. So that's like 60, probably 70 days right there. So once you learn how to calculate terms, okay, now you can understand how to put them on the clock. Now you won't be just languishing in jail. But you got to understand it's a chess move. Now, I have seen situations where they will get somebody to testify against you. I remember a young brother came back from seeing his attorney. I'll never forget this. And, he said, oh, gee. He said, I just got through seeing my attorney. I said, yeah. He said, they want me to testify against someone. I said, yeah. He said, yeah. He said, but the only thing, he said, they want me to testify against somebody I don't even know who he is. For some time off. So I hate to bring out the dark side of things, but it's necessary, because when you do find yourself in that position, which some of you listening are, okay, you need to know the information that I'm telling you and be aware of it. The only thing about that is that you got to understand is anytime they do anything underhanded, it never, like people who go to prison for 20 years and they come out and find out that they really didn't do the crime. I think they did that for 20 years for something else. I think it's something else. You know what I'm saying? That karma, that just didn't have, bad things just don't happen to people for no reason. There has to be something balancing some scale or something like that, something that you've taken out of harmony in the universe. Because if you operate through the laws, you won't have any accidents happen to you. You can live life with no accidents. Don't let people say that you can't. You can. That's possible to do with constructive thought and mastering constructive thought.
Why you think nothing accidental or evil ever happens to wealthy and powerful people? Nothing bad ever happens to them. It's on the lower class of society that's going through all the mishaps. I'm just saying. All right, where are we at? Let's get back to the, oh yeah, I almost forgot, like, shit.
I'm not sure what you would consider a legal document, so I don't know what that means.
Okay, why don't we move on to your motion? Why don't we move on to a hearing on your motion, which brings you here today?
Yeah, do you want me to speak to that? Okay.
And specifically, this is a motion to dismiss in both dockets 2010 S0915 and 916.
Well, you had
Which
already
are
ruled
appeals from the district court for lack of speedy trial, is that correct?
Yeah, you had already ruled on that motion. I wanted to make sure we had the hearing, which according to court rules must be held if something hasn't.
Let me explain one more time. For you to get a dismissal for lack of speedy trial, you first got to demand a speedy trial first. You can't say, well, you know, y'all didn't mail this to me in the right time, so there's a lack of a trial, so you need to dismiss it. It don't work like that. You got to demand a speedy trial. You got to put it on the clock. So, you know, that's why I'm listening to this guy, and, you know, he got courage. He got plenty of that. That's a good quality to have. Very good. Got to have that quality. But, you know, he got some other aspects of him I see he need work with. And that's, you know, number one, understanding court rules. If you're going to come into their courtroom, don't come in there under some sort of presumption that y'all are utilizing some sort of common law, because you're not. You know, and let me say this to all of the people out there who are watching and they're saying that, you know, what you're demanding. I say, what are these sovereigns demanding? A sovereign is not demanding anything. When they challenge jurisdiction of a court, they're not saying, you're not saying that you don't have jurisdiction over me. We're trying to make a determination what jurisdiction you're operating under so we can operate under that jurisdiction accordingly. If it is a common law jurisdiction, okay, well, there needs to be a affidavit from an injured party. But if it's admiralty, there needs to be a contract, or at least make some sort of presentment for me so I can do a bill of a banker's acceptance on it. Because if we're talking about admiralty, we're talking about something monetarily. That's how admiralty works. That's why you don't want people to know that, because there's no money to pay for anything with. All value is derived from the people. All we have to do, our signature is what gives us power in the game of commerce. So they have to, that's why it's called a bill of indictment. It's a bill. It is a bill. They're giving you a bill with a list of charges on it. With a list of charges, and they want you to accept it and discharge it. You know, all this is real. You can't take it for granted. The universe, people like to say that the universe is illusory, or this is all an illusion. It is an illusion, but you got to deal with it. That's the conundrum they talk about in the Kabbalion. The Kabbalion has already discussed that. It is an illusion, but you got to deal with it. It's real enough to you. You ain't reached a level where you can even consider it and to be an illusion. You only know it's an illusion in theory. You don't know it's an illusion in fact. That requires an amount of, you know, elevation consciously. Let's get back. But I just wanted to stop and just talk about that.
Happened in 6 months on a misdemeanor and 9 months on a felony, if I'm not mistaken on that. That's cited here in my original motion to dismiss. When I put in the District Court Rule 2.14 notice to demanded to skip district court. I did not go to trial there. Skip district court and go straight to a jury trial on this matter. That was back in November, and I'm sure I've got the date in here somewhere. But anyway, it was in November, and apparently it took the district court quite a while to even just send the paperwork over here. I checked after the first week, figuring it wouldn't take a week to get paperwork across the street, but apparently it hadn't even come here in a week's time. At that point, I figured, I've got other things to do. I, run my own business, and I got busy with my life at that point, figuring, okay, well, when the Superior Court gets the documents, inevitably they're going to select a court date, and they're going to send me notice. So I'll find out whenever it is that they get this figured out. I didn't hear from this court for over 6 months. It took forever to even get the first notice out of this court. Clearly, as evidenced by you guys shutting down for the furlough days, clearly this court is loaded with cases. And I understand that John Webb here is a busy guy. He's got a lot of things on his plate. It seems to me to be a clear violation of the supposed right to a speedy trial.
He's just operating straight off what he thinks something is. He ain't researched nothing about speedy trial whatsoever. That's my critique of this part. If you're watching, that's my critique of this part right here. You haven't researched speedy trial at all. You just came into court, started talking about it. You feel like it should be dismissed because of the lack of prosecution when you're the one that should be moving the court. It's a week. I don't even know what you're at. I don't even know what you're talking about really at some points. But, I can show the judge is like, what the fuck is this motherfucker talking about? I know he is, and I hate to sound like that, but I know he is. Like, what the fuck is this motherfucker talking about? He gonna talk about this shit to his wife when he get home. Baby, when I get today at work, this young man came into my courtroom. This nigga was talking about some crazy shit. Let me tell you. Oh, man. You want to be prepared. Be prepared and you will be listened to. You should have already read up. That's one of the reasons why I'm always checking the docket sheet. I check the docket sheet, first of all, to see if I'm getting ambushed, because you can get ambushed, but it's going to be on that docket sheet. So if you read the docket sheet, you can't get ambushed. About every 2 weeks, if I got a case that's languishing for like some months, every 2 weeks, I'm getting a copy of my docket sheet. I'm writing the clerk, telling her put a copy of it in the mail for me. Whatever, send a copy of my docket sheet. Or if I got access to it on the internet, I go and look at it myself. But either way, the docket sheet records everything. Everything's been filed on your case. Sometimes things get filed on your case and you don't get no notice of it. And then when they file it on your case, you can see what it is. Oh, this is how these motherfuckers coming. That's what filing paperwork for. Paperwork is to alert the other side how you coming. That's what it's for. I think people get into paperwork, they think it's supposed to free them or something. Paperwork is filed in court to tell the other side what you come in to fight with. It's not no automatic dismissal or some shit because you filed some paper. Unless the other side wants to dismiss the case, that's the only way a case is dismissed, is the plaintiff dismisses it. The judge don't have nothing to do with it. Unless there's no facts, no material issue of fact to be adjudicated. But my paperwork says state of California has a lawsuit against me, the defendant, in a misdemeanor case. It's all commercial. Well, it's not commercial just because, it's not commercial just because the words are capitalized either. That's another thing. You can't operate from that position. Oh, well, because all the words are capitalized, that means it's commercial. That's infantile. You have to understand the nature of the system, the nature of the proceeding,
Admiralty. What is admiralty? They tell you admiralty is the law of the sea. That's what they tell you, and it is the law of the sea. All right. It comes from the Saracens or the Moors. The Moors. They were one of the first people to use the word admiral. Admiral. That's a Moorish word. Okay. So we're talking about admiralty. All right. Admiralty. Okay. And admiralty is civil in nature. Anytime we say civil, we're talking about a dispute over money. So it's a system in which a monetary value is placed on everything. Even life has a monetary value. So if you kill somebody in admiralty, okay, well, what was that person's life worth? That person's life was worth what? 20 pieces of gold? Okay, do you got 20 pieces of gold? Oh, you don't got 20 pieces of gold? Okay, I'm going to lock your ass up until you have the 20 pieces of gold. That's debtor's prison. That's how you had to pay it, and if you didn't pay it, you were going to prison. And when you come into the court and you talk like this right here, what you're looked at as is what is called an absconding debtor. Now, an absconding debtor in admiralty is a person that doesn't pay his debts. He has a business, but his business is never open. He's a gambler. You know, these are things, having the habits of a gambler makes you an absconding debtor. Having a business and it's never open, it gives you the look of an absconding debtor in commerce. Think about it, we're in a commercial world. How you gonna be playing a game in a commercial world and then your fucking business ain't never open? How you playing the game? You ain't a participant in the game. They're gonna alert you, they're gonna alert everybody to that fact. Nah, this motherfucker right here, he ain't playing the game right. He's not participating in commerce. That's why you got to get you some sort of corp or something and operate through that. Some sort of entity, whether it be not an individual. That's what the social security number is. It's like a corporate soul. It has all the liability. But it could be a company, an association, a partnership, a trust, an estate, a corporation. You know, those are the monopoly board pieces you play the game with in their world. You have to have some sort of token to move about in their world. They give you a default token. They call it an individual. It has a social security number. That's just a default token. That's why they tax it so much, because you got to get out of that default position as an employee, and you got to figure out a way to become a business owner. Because the rules of the game are designed for businesses, not for the employees. It's like you being penalized and shit for playing outside the game or something, for being an employee. It ain't designed for employees. The whole system is designed. Everywhere you look, you see businesses. They expect everybody to have their own business. You are a business. Your family is your business. They look at your marriage as a business. They look at everything as a business, man. Everything is a business. If you want to play this game, if you're going to be in this society, you can't think no other way. You can't come on their game board and make another game unless you create a whole new game. And to do that, you got to get everybody on board to play the game, which means you have to either wake them up or go over here and create a world and attract them to it, or something like that, because that's the only way you're going to get people who are not thinking for themselves to come over and be on your side, because these people ain't thinking for themselves. You got to be an independent thinker, man, in this world today, and that's hard to do, because anytime I see the crowd going in one direction, I'm going in the other direction. Why in the fuck I'm going to follow a herd of sheep? That's all you're doing when you follow the crowd. You just following a herd of motherfucking sheep. That's it.
For the benefit of the taxpayers, I would, like to see both of these matters dismissed for lack of a speedy trial, and that way none of these jurors have to have their time wasted. John Webb can get back to more important matters, actually dealing with real criminals who've actually harmed people. I think that would be the right choice for you to make.
Anything else?
Well, I could address some of, I guess he's going to be able to speak next, because he's got some points that he made in his objection. I'd be happy to address some of those points. I'm not sure how this hearing is going to.
If you want to do, you can wait for Attorney Webb to make his comments, or you can address his comment, what you anticipate to be his comments based on his plea.
As long as I can speak after he's done, I'd be happy to wait and see what he has to say.
Want to rest in your opinion, Attorney Webb?
I do, Your Honor. Thank you.
Anything you wish to add to it?
Not unless the court has any questions. I think the record, in terms of the times, pretty much speaks for itself. December 17, 2010 is when the district court matter came to this court. It appears that November 18, 2010 is when the 214 appeal was signed in district court. Otherwise, the state stands undisputed.
Thank you. Mr. Bernard, you can address that. As you pointed out, I ruled on the motion without any further hearing for the reasons that were articulated in the state's objection, citing the case law and the standard which the court applies, and I was persuaded based on the state's objection that the motion was properly dismissed. So.
Well, what?
I want y'all to think about this. This man is an administrator, this judge. I don't know if a lot of people understand what that means. What that means is that he has a ministerial duty to perform. I'm going to have to make this impactful. This is where I'm going to have to pause and make an impact. I got to make this impactful. I can't gloss over this part right here, because this is important for you to understand of how, because if you don't understand it, it's going to be very difficult for you to corner a judge, or to, it's just going to be very difficult for you to like get a judge to do what you want him to do, when all he has to do is follow the rules. That's all he has to do. He don't never have to, you can't never get him for nothing if all he has to do is follow the rules. You can't. He's not liable for anything. He has immunity. The immunity comes from him staying within the ambit of his delegated authority, and that's what the rules of court are there for. The rules of court and the rules of procedure, all those are in place to protect him and you, but him as well. If he follows those procedures, if he's following what somebody's telling him to do, how are you going to hold him liable? That's why they tell you that if you sue a judge, you're suing the state, because the judge is just following the orders of the state, which come in the form of statutes. So he just said, he cited his legal authority, okay, the precedents that court had already decided on something. So he's protecting himself. He's citing those legal authorities. So you're supposed to know all of this. And once you know all of this, now you can prepare a chess move to counteract it. But you can't prepare a chess move to counteract it if you don't know that that's how they move. And then you start complaining because things didn't go your way, or you start talking about, I want to sue the judge or do something like that. You can't sue that judge. You can't put no lien on that judge. The judge, every time I see something like that, I scrutinize. I look at a lot of cases and I scrutinize a lot of things. And a lot of stuff comes from anger of individuals. It makes me really understand what this attorney told me a long time ago. He said they can deal with the ones like you. It's the angry ones they can't deal with. Because, the anger that an individual has because they're involved in something in the system, and it's understandable, your anger, but you got to watch that anger. That anger is going to be a big detriment to you. It can't help you in no kind of way. You got to get a hold of that anger as soon as you can. It's just business. It's cold-blooded business, and you're trapped in it. And the only way you're going to get out is you got to learn how to conduct cold-blooded business as well. You got to learn how to do that. And you got to understand that your business, that your business is you, that you are a business. You're looked at as a business. You have a value. They give you, there's an actuary table that gives you a value. That's why you have a minimum wage. You don't have a maximum wage. You have a minimum wage because everybody's worth something. Everybody's worth something. And that's how are they determining how much money to loan the United States when they go and borrow some money? Who is paying that money back? Well, obviously it is the taxpayers paying it back. It's 1/3 of your income
that they're guaranteeing for the repayment of that $300 billion that they gave to Ukraine that you ain't said shit about. That nigga just punking you with the shit. Man, fuck these niggas, man. Borrow some more money in their name. Let's go buy some houses and cars and ball out in this bitch. Let they take their ass to work to pay it back. Play you know what? I can understand why the creator put me in this position because I used to hustle. So you have to respect the hustle. You have to respect it. You know what I'm saying? That's why I don't be too mad at them. That's why I be coming and trying to educate. It's hard educating your people because you don't want to seem like that you racist or something, because I'm really not. You know, I respect game. You know, I say I respect the game. I respect the hustle because I see it as a challenge to my intelligence. And your job is to show the other person that you ain't a goddamn fool. But how can you do it if the nigga's fooling you and you don't know it? I don't know if y'all feel what I'm saying right now. I'm trying to wake y'all up. I'm trying. I don't know if y'all can feel what I'm. Oh, let me get back to this. Let me get back to this. Let me get back to this. This thing I'm supposed to be showing y'all. Okay, this is. I know. I like this nigga is just going all off the rails and shit, talking about shit. All right, let me get back to this ministerial duty because we need to understand what this word is. It's really important for you to understand what a ministerial duty is. Ministerial. Write this word down. Ministerial. Ministerial. All right, so this is SBC University. I'm in the back office. We're going to go to our dictionaries. And somebody was just getting on me talking about I'm using an outdated dictionary. Fool, you don't think I got the 12th edition? I got all the versions. I got all of them. I just use the 8th because I like to. Most of these definitions don't change. They still the same. They still the same in the new dictionaries. But let me see. I'm going to use the 9th this time. I'll use the 9th edition. All right. And you're going to look up the word ministerial. All right, so these are the M's, Control F. Ministerial. All right, so it count 80, how many times it's in here? 11 times. So right there you see ministerial history. An officer who performs certain ministerial duties such as taking temporary charge of assets of an insolvent state. That's a messenger. A messenger has a ministerial duty to perform. All right, let's look at the next one. Hold on. There it is, ministerial. All right, so this is it right here. It's an adjective of or relating to an act that involves obedience to instructions or laws instead of discretion, judgment, or skill. So when you're looking at an administrator has ministerial duties. All right, they have to follow obedience. Their obedience are to the statutes and to the rules of court. They're not like common law judges. They're not like Article 3 judges. Article 3 judges don't follow none of that. They sit there, they do what they fucking want to do. They're the ones in charge. But Article 1 judges or legislative court judges, they're ministerial. That's why it's not a true court of law. It's not a true court of law. However, it is a court that received a delegation of authority through the Constitution to adjudicate certain matters within their purview. All right? They do have that power, and they exercise in plenary power because you have voluntarily come over into that jurisdiction, evidenced by you having a social security number, working a job, putting your children in public school, getting a bank account, registering your car, all these different things. Actions speak louder than words. That's why you have to follow behind your words with action. You can't be saying you don't have jurisdiction over me, and then as soon as you leave the courtroom, you pull out your driver's license and go back to work. That shit's not happening. All right, so right here you see of or relating to an act that involves obedience to instruction or laws instead of discretion, judgment, or skill. They don't have discretion, judgment, or skill. not discretion, judgment, or skill is what they're following instructions. That's why you'll see him when he gives an answer, he's going to cite a court precedence, or he's going to cite a court rule, or some sort of case law, something like that. He's going to talk about that first, because he's going to let everybody know this is what is guiding my decision. This is how I'm not taking any liability in this matter. What happens? I'm going to stay within the ambit of my delegated authority. I can dismiss this case based off the fact that precedence has told me I can do so, regardless of how you feel about it. All right, so that's what you need to understand. So you need to present the law in court that's going to support your position, so that way you can force the judge to rule in your favor, because he's an administrator. So that's how you learn how to play chess with these people. You got to learn how to force them to do things. And you learn how to force them to do things by knowing where to apply pressure, how to present evidence, how to mail something through the mail. You know, you have two witnesses. What's a witness? The 3811 green form and a notary. Notaries are witnesses. The post office certified and registered mail is a witness. It's evidence that you can bring into court to substantiate a fact. You know, there are reasons that you do, there's a reason for everything you do in this space that we're in. Now, there's been a lot of people come into this space and offer it. And I read some things. Somebody just gave me something the other day to read. It was some information they got from somebody else, and I was impressed with it. I was like, hey, this was well written. This is written by an individual who understands. It's a pleasure to read somebody else's. It's almost like Jesus reading Buddha's message. I'm like, God damn, Buddha, you know, we know the same thing, but man, you wrote that shit in an entirely different way than I would have wrote it. But you know what? That shit was nice to read, how you wrote it. But I would have never thought to write it that way. And then he say, hey, well, you know, you the same way. I never would have thought to write it your way. But truth is like gold. It can be expressed in different ways. It can be put into a ring. It can be put into a necklace. It can be put into a bracelet, but it's all still gold. And that's how you have to look at this. You can't have some sort of prejudice or be subjective in your thinking. Always be objective in your thinking. Always be fair as well. Always be fair in your assessment of things. That's what I try to do. But anyway, I wanted you to see this word ministerial, because it's going to come up later that he has a ministerial duty to perform. And that is the reason you see him reading statutes, rules, different things like that. That's how he is invoking his immunity as well about what he's about to do. I'm about to do something. You can attack me all you want to, but I'm not liable for anything, because I'm doing what these people are telling me to do. I'm exercising a ministerial duty. It's no different than if you are trying to sue a customer service representative, like T-Mobile customer service. All right, you get into an argument with the girl on the phone. Now you want to take her to court. Now you want her name. She don't have to give you her name. She can give you a number. All right, the reason why she's not liable, she's doing what her boss told her to do. She's been through training, fool. Her training told her to do this. They listening, they monitoring the call. And if she do everything they told her to do, she ain't liable for shit. The only people who can bind the corporation is the CEO and the CFO, or anybody who appears on the Secretary of State's website. She's immune from something. You can't touch her. That's the same thing with these people. They employees of the state. When you sue them, you're suing the state. Unless they do something they didn't tell them to do. Now that's considered them acting in their own interest. Now they're doing private stuff. Now they don't have no immunity. They liable in their private capacity, because that's how they acted in their private capacity. All right. Hope people are getting this. Let's get back.
Well, what was it that was so persuasive to you? Because, I mean, it's been over 6 months, and the law says
I think it's unfortunate that it was over 6 months, and it would have been nice if it had not, if it had proceeded to resolution within a 6-month period. But the factors that are cited in the state's objection, which the state spoke to, I thought, notwithstanding the fact that it was over 6 months, did not entitle you to a dismissal. If you want to address those, I'm happy to listen to you.
So the factors here he cites in his objection is
The factors that are cited in Baker versus Wingo, they're on page 1 of his objection.
Well,
And subsequent and discussed thereafter.
yeah, the
The judge is making a mockery of him right now. He's citing a case law, and he said you just want to discuss that. He know he ain't read it, because don't none of y'all read case law. He ain't read it. And if he did read it, he probably wouldn't understand what it's talking about because he don't know legal principles. So he don't know why things are decided the way they're decided. So you cannot, there's no way you can argue something if you don't know that. So, just pay attention. And, this is why a lot of people didn't watch this video, but this is the video that was chock full of educational material, and you got to stop looking at these videos for entertainment value and looking, it is very good that we have so many of these videos on the internet. We can look at them and then, because people are saying, well, let's do mock trials. Well, no, I don't have to do a mock trial. I got a whole library of video footage, real life stories I can utilize and we can learn from and you can extract stuff from. Because a lot of people make mistakes and it's okay to make mistakes. I'm not downing anybody. I'm not downing this gentleman. Everybody, my first time probably looked worse than him. If somebody would have recorded it, I probably looked crazy. Because I know I was talking. I was like, I am the holder in due course. Here is a third party. I was speaking like a damn robot, It wasn't no swag. I have no swag the way I have today. I had zero swag with it. So I'm sure if somebody would have recorded it, I'd be like, oh, God damn, I look crazy. So it happens. You know what I'm saying? So, but these are good. These are good. Let's keep looking.
He even admits here on page 2 that it took nearly 8 months for the trial to be scheduled. Claims the delay was in no way caused by the state. That seems to be completely questionable. It was all in their hands. I have not put one single motion or anything like that in because I was waiting to see just how long it took them to even schedule a date. So to say that the delay wasn't caused by the state, that seems clearly false. This was entirely in their hands, ever since I put the 2.14 notice in. What they were doing for that 6-month period, or 6 or 7 months, whatever long it was, that lengthy period of time, was clearly for them.
I like what Marcus Aurelius posted in the comment section. He said, a legal doctrine applicable in many civil claims throughout the United States is legal doctrine. An employer can be held accountable for negligence or wrongdoing committed by their employee or agent, which is the principle that, the same thing that the state operates off of, that, hey, but if, they can be held liable for it, but once again, now your employer, are they following the Constitution? Was the statute constitutional or not? Because that's the question you're getting into next. If you're going to hold the employer liable, the employer, which is in this case is the state, they have to follow the Constitution. So was that statute unconstitutional or not that judge was following? That has to be determined. You have to show that. So it's you could get into a deep pit as opposed to just, understanding what's really going on in the courtroom, just going that direction instead of going all over the place, trying to say, nah, it's not, just say, you know what, I'll pay that bill. Don't use the word pay, but, I accept that bill for offset and adjustment. And then, you make a presentment to me. I'll sign it. I'll give it to you. You can put it on your books to offset the debt. That extinguishes the matter, then release the order of the court to me immediately, showing me that this matter has been adjudicated. Something like that, Thank you for that. One, bro, you're not going off track, it's hitting home. All right. Yeah, I'm stopping because I see so much stuff. When I'm watching these videos, I see so much stuff. I be having to stop so many times. And let me point this out to you. I've been in court a lot. I haven't been in a long time, but when I first got into this, I was in court a lot. And to a point where I wasn't even nervous no more. I was in court so much, I go in, I wouldn't even be nervous. I'd be just confident, and just like, okay. And sometimes it was kind of exciting. It was like an adrenaline rush. Let's go in court again, because I was exploring, I was figuring things out. I was trying stuff out, and going in court real time doing it. And that's what's beautiful about, traffic citations and misdemeanors, is that you can do that without any threat of something fundamentally changing your life, like going to prison or something like that. It's a good place to start traffic citations and things like that, He
points out in point number 11 that it does not appear that the defendant asserted his right to a speedy trial in Superior Court until the court's recent issuance of a docket notice. Well, how could I, as I didn't know if the court was even going to docket this case? It took months and months for me to get my first notice. As soon as I got my first notice, I immediately put in notice of the speedy trial. So I was aware.
I see how he gave him some case law saying he had to file a demand for speedy trial. And he said, well, you didn't tell me anything. I didn't receive any notices for months. However, that's why you have to get a docket sheet. You don't have to wait to get no notice or anything. If a case number's been filed, just file the damn demand. Okay. Well, here's another thing. Okay, might be missing. Because I don't know what the nature of this, I don't know if this is like a serious matter or not. But like in the case where you got like drug charges, okay, they can hold you up to 90 days without giving you an indictment. And that's why they have what is called an indictment or release. Once you get the indictment, now you can demand a speedy trial. The problem I have with today's courts is they hold people in jail for an extended amount of time, which is already given a punishment. It's already like they're getting a punishment. Like, you stay in jail for 11 months, you ain't even been indicted, or you haven't been brought to court in any kind of way. Nobody's offered you anything. And you just sitting there like 10 months, sometimes 2-3 years. You sitting there in county jail or whatever. That's what I got a problem with. I got a seriously problem with how they do that shit. And that's some of the stuff that doesn't get talked about enough. That's what needs to be talked about. Because a person is supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. And if you're sitting in jail and 2 years and I ain't been to trial, I ain't been proven guilty, motherfucker, but I just did a sentence. I just did a goddamn sentence of 2 years, waiting to go to court. Nah. That has to change. That's how they're getting a lot of the convictions too, because people are just acquiescing and going and pleading guilty just to get on out. And then they find out later on just how deadly that guilty plea was. Now you can't have a gun no more. That's what they want. They don't want people having guns. They're going to probably put felonies on everybody, so you can't have no gun. How can you tell me I can't have a gun when that's a constitutionally protected right? These are things that need more discussion, more in-depth discussion. It needs to be on the public platform. Somebody needs to be held accountable. Who passed that legislation? When you go back and check and see, I think you're going to be surprised at the nationalities. I'll do that for another day. All right, y'all, I'm going to stop right here. I got to get off.
Plus, I've been going probably almost 2 hours already. And I'll be talking. My God, I'll be running my mouth. It says, if they have a ministerial duty, how are they making a judgment? The judge don't attest that judgment is truthful. They have no liability for the ruling. Now, the judge is citing, he's citing the case law. You're going to see either a rule, according to something, rule X, Y, and Z, failure to state a claim upon which relief can be granted, or there's going to be some sort of procedural type thing. And then he's going to have the case law that's going to support it. How to rule on the facts. You know, facts have already been determined. That's why they have what they call precedents or common law. Another name for precedents is common law. I hope y'all know that. Common law is the body, is judge-made law. It's the body of judicial decisions that have been made. See, the common law is not written down. It's unwritten law. The common law is a body of principles. It's a body of principles. And that's why you have to know principles, because principles are used to make judicial decisions, to judge something. And then they record those, and they call it, you know, stare decisis, or, you know, case law, whatever. They don't have no liability by doing what they're told. Oh, that should be easy for people to understand. If you can't understand what I'm saying, I don't know what to tell you. You know, you can't hold somebody liable for something they're being told to do. He took a job. He works for an employer. The employer expects him to do a job in a certain way. The employer is the one that pays him, not you. So if the employer gives him a list of instructions to follow, it's his ministerial duty to follow them. And if you get offended by that, you can't hold him liable. You need to go see his employer. And then if the employer is in your country, you got to make sure that employer has followed the Constitution that forms the country. That's your responsibility to do. That's what I said. You got something. He said, how do you stop the languishing in jail without a charge? In Georgia, at least, they have something called indict or release. It's called indict or release. Let me see if I can pull it up for you. It's called indict or release. Because they just holding you, you know, they ain't indicted you. And procedure for indictment. Let me see if I can put it on the screen. Yeah, it is. All right, so right here you can see this is OCGA 17-7-52. OCGA stands for the Official Code of Georgia Annotated. Okay, so right here, before a bill of indictment or special presentment against a president or former peace officer. Wait a minute, hold on. Is this it? Hold on, I don't think this is it. No, that's not it. Let's see. Is this it? Criminal procedure. Hold on, I'm putting indict or release, 90-day rule. Let me try to see if I can narrow the search. See right here, any person who is arrested of a crime, let's say right here. Okay, this is OCGA 17750. Any person who is arrested for a crime and who is refused bail shall, within 90 days after the date of confinement, be entitled to have the charge against him or her heard by a grand jury having jurisdiction over the accused person, provided, however, that if the person is arrested for a crime for which the death penalty is being sought, the Superior Court may, upon motion of the district attorney for an extension, and after hearing the good cause shown, grant one extension to the 90-day period not to exceed another 90 days. So if you got like a death penalty, they can do 180 days on you. All right. So right here, this right here is, you can see that these are the wills of their master. This is their masters telling them how they shall move about. When you arrest somebody and they haven't been indicted, you can hold them 90 days. Okay, so you can't even put a demand for speedy trial. Well, I don't know if you can put it, because you can't put in a demand for speedy trial in until you've been indicted. So the first thing you got to do is an indict or release. All right, indict, and they got 90 days. They can let that expire at the end of 90 days. At the end of that, then you can put in a demand for speedy trial. And then that's another, depending on what the terms of court are. It could be anywhere from 120 days to a whole year. So, you know, these are the statutes. You need to understand this when you, so you can understand what speedy trial is instead of whatever the concept in your mind is. He said, when a judge makes his ruling and it is not your favor, what liability does he have for a wrong ruling? The judge appellate doesn't attest to anything. Well, I mean, they are liable. You know, a lot of judges don't want to get their decisions overturned. So when you say a wrong ruling, I'm assuming you meant you took it to an appeal and the appellate court overturned it or sent it back to the, usually what they'll do is they'll send it back to the lower court and remand it back and have them follow their instructions and adjudicate it according to the instructions that they have. But that's, the onus is on you. You know, you have to make that happen within a certain amount of time. So I don't think there's going to be any liability because they send it back down to the lower court and have them change the ruling. What kind of liability are we talking about? An inconvenience? Or, you know what? I conditionally accept your offer upon proof of claim. I'd like to settle the alleged matter honorably and promptly. I must first speak with the claimant. Let me tell you why I'm against conditional acceptances. Conditional acceptances are making them prove something they can't prove. They are bankrupt. All right, they are bankrupt. They are not a creditor. They can't even make any claims against anything. What they can do are what are called colorable claims, but they can't make a true claim against anyone. So you're just antagonizing them doing that. You do a full-out acceptance. What do you care? You have an exemption that is inexhaustible. There isn't any money. You got the ability to sign any contract. You can contract unlimited. You can sign as many debt instruments as you want. The whole entire system is based off of debt. All right, so why are you arguing with them? Why would you argue with them? This is the mindset of a creditor. This is a mindset of an individual who understands what he's involved in when you're dealing with these courts. And that you getting into arguments with them is a waste of time and it's detrimental to your position. What nobody talk about is the original 13th. I got a video on here talking about the original 13th Amendment. What you talking about? The Matrix in the, I think, is it the Matrix in the U.S. Constitution, Part 2? I'm on there, he talking about it. He got the video footage of it, where to go get the original Constitution and everything. You get a copy of it. You get a copy of it. It tells you where to go get a copy of it. Where attorneys were not meant to serve in office. But it's like he said, they got the guns. What you gonna do? They got the guns. They got the guns, man. You ain't finna take nothing from these people. You got to learn how to play the game. That's why I'm trying to tell people to play the game. You're not going to war with these people. I'm not even going to be even trying to talk about something like that. One, because it's not necessary, because you got the power of the mind. It really is a tool for the mental, the intellectually weak, want to go to war and shit like that. You can go to war with them, but you can go in a different way. Everything that they do is commercial in nature. I'm gonna have to talk about that on another live. I'm exhausted right now. But anyway, let's get in, let's get out, let's get in 241 and 242. That's charging a public official who acts under color of law. I know what you're talking about. That's it for me. I'll be back tomorrow with another good show with some good information for you. Play with honor, truth. Peace to the gods and goddesses. I'm Yusef. Like, comment, and subscribe below this video. All right, give me some feedback. Peace to the gods. I'm out.